All right, I'm back. Hi, everyone. Thought I would come in again, read another chapter, maybe more. We'll see how far I get. But we are making progress in this book. It's been a doozy, and I am looking forward to kind of seeing how it concludes. So we're at chapter 11 tonight. Last chapter was pretty interesting, detailing his first year of college, which I have a feeling he may not be attending Cambridge a second year. What do you all think? I don't know. But I got the distinct impression that he wasn't a very good student from his own words. So, yeah, interesting look at masculinity from a beta male feminist perspective. He went on a real feminist rant in the last chapter, so I'm wondering what we're going to get exposed to this one. So yeah, we're at chapter 11, and it's titled Men Don't Need Therapy. So I'm assuming this is going to be some sort of deep dive into his therapy, or him seeking out therapy for, as he described, he had suicidal ideation in his last chapter, and he mentioned it before as well. So interesting. It's not been something I've ever dealt with, so I can't really relate. I've definitely dealt with people who've had it, and that's been difficult. Just not being able to relate to them because I don't know. It sounds very tough. I've had intrusive thoughts about it, maybe. I will say that. Like, I've had like just times where I'll have like these flashes in my mind of what it would be like to do something, but it's not like, it's just disturbing. It's not really a desire. It's just, a horrible image that comes into my mind. So I haven't, dealt with that. I don't know exactly. And there's that word again. He's used this word a number of times in the book, and I get to say it again. So I'm excited about this. Just looking at the chapter so far. Okay. So yeah, Men Don't Need Therapy, chapter 11. Be soft, even if you stand to get squashed. E.M. Forster, The Long Run. So what brings you here today, Robert? Philip is the head of the university counseling service and is exactly the kind of avuncular. Just go to text. Interesting. Avuncular. This means uncle-like. He used it to describe how he wanted to be. He's just used it to describe other people. It's a word he likes. He's used it multiple times. I had not come across it before this book, but avuncular. All right. Who doesn't like an avuncular old chap? Okay. Philip is the head of the university counseling service and is exactly the kind of avuncular old chap I was hoping for. Gray hair, glasses, loose-knit cardigan. This is a first assessment, an exactly how bonkers are you anyway kind of session. Although I suspect these are not the preferred terms. There was a fortnight's waiting time after booking the appointment. It means that I'm feeling better, and it was probably the knowledge that some kind of backup was on the way that did the trick. That, of course, is not how I see things at the time. Bad things happen. I get miserable beyond belief. I randomly recover. So we don't exactly get off to a cracking start. I've no idea, really. I'm absolutely fine, I reply. I probably should have canceled. Philip is already writing something on an A4 pad with a sharp pencil. Well, you're here now. Yes. So what shall we talk about? He gives me the faintest imaginable smile of encouragement. I'd quite like to offer a couple of observations about the weather and then get the hell out of there. Instead, I do the sensible thing for once, although talking like this is no less embarrassing than you might think. I start to tell him why I booked the appointment, about being crazy about this boy, and having a casual sexual relationship with this girl, about how they're together now, leaving me feeling rejected, abandoned, excluded, and generally pulverized. I don't tell him about the suicidal thoughts, only because I think that would be a bit much. We've only just met, for heaven's sake. This is England. Hello to Nicholas Woodall. Hope you're having a good evening. Or whatever time it is, wherever you are. I hope it's going good. Hey, what are you getting up to over there? Okay, that's fine. He looks frankly bored. Oh, well, I think. At least I'm not about to be physically restrained and wheeled off to an asylum. Nothing to see here. Move along. Thank you, Philip says. Now I wonder if you could fill me in on your family background, your parents, brothers or sisters, and so on. Oh, okay, this will be easier. At least we don't have to talk about sex anymore. I tell him about Mum and Dad, about Dad, and then about Mum, and then about Derek, and then about Dad again. I can't help noticing that his pencil has flown into action. He's now scribbling away like he's got 2 minutes to finish an exam after spending the first 3 hours doodling a battleship. At length, he puts his pencil down and reviews his notes. I imagine for a second he's about to slowly remove his glasses, look me in the eye and say, who the F do you think you are? He does indeed remove his glasses and look at me, but what he says is this. There's been a great deal of separation in your life. I think you use those experiences as a model for current adversity, and that makes things feel considerably worse than they might do otherwise. I think you've got a problem, and I think we can help. Those last 2 sentences, a proper professional grown-up has just told me I'm not a complete arsehole, and I'm not just wasting everyone's time. That helps. That helps a very great deal. I start going for an hour a week. As we know, I went to some trouble to get into this university. I mean, really quite a sincere and prolonged amount of trouble. So given that well over half the reason I wanted to be here in the first place was to be part of Footlights and find someone funny to do comedy with, it came as a bit of a disappointment that no matter how interested I was in them, they didn't seem very interested in me. The Cambridge Footlights Dramatic Club does 3 main shows a year at the end of the 3 academic terms: the pantomime, the spring review, and the summer tour show. In my first year, I auditioned for all 3 and got nowhere. To be fair, it's unusual for a first year to strike it big in those shows. But I, of course, thought I was deeply unusual. I watched the Christmas panto in a reverie of pitiless contempt. The spring review was worse by quite a distance. From that baseline, the summer tour saw a marked decline. Collecting as it did all of the weakest sketches of the spring review and some new material which wasn't as good as that. I felt like giving the whole thing up and becoming a theater critic. That's how bad it got. I hope the young writer-performers involved, some of whom right now are among my best friends as well as very successful writers or performers, understand that I wasn't in a brilliant place, emotionally speaking, and that I turned up to watch those shows with a determined attitude of arms folded indignation and spite. No matter how good they actually were, those students were about as likely to make me laugh as they were to get Professor Hawking to come on and do a sand dance. They also know that what little self-esteem I had when not channeled into pulling third years was focused on what I fondly thought of as my talent. I wore it like a suit of armor. It felt like footlights had overlooked just how very shiny my armor was. They were not to be forgiven. That is until my second year when they put me in everything. Along with the big shows, Footlights also do one-off comedy nights called Smokers. You turn up with a bit of material you've written and you perform it. A sketch if you found people to perform with, or a character monologue if you're me. I did enough of these well enough to catch the attention of the Footlights committee. The committee is the ruling elite, the creme de la clown, otherwise known as 7 blokes and a woman sitting in a basement trying to run a comedy club. I very much wanted to be one of the 7 blokes and a woman. At the end of my first year, and the funny and outgoing president, Miles Williams, has left me a kind note asking me to give him a ring. I was immediately starstruck, not just because the president had noticed my existence, but also because he had his own telephone number. I nervously dialed from one of the Robinson phone booths. Ah, young Webbington. Thanks for calling. Just catching up on a bit of cricket on the telly. Miles has been brilliantly comparing smokers all year, and I'm unnerved by the sound of his voice, as well as by the news that he's in possession of not just a phone number, but a television. I just lost my spot. Oh, there it is. Okay. Jesus, what else do you get if you're president? A speedboat? Annuity? Annuity? What's an annuity? Is that like a payment? I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I know you've probably been a bit disappointed this year, but No, Gooch, you total arse. Sorry, Robert. Gooch just got out for 12, the useless cunt. Where was I? Excuse my language. Effing idiot. Not you, Robert. Ah, yes, funny. We think you're funny, Webby. Bangs of talent. You're obviously going to be in all 3 shows next year. Has Eddie spoken to you about being on the committee? No. Of course he hasn't, the lazy effer. Right, well, I'll have a word with him. You and that Tristram Hunt boy, do you get on with Tristram? Tristram? What kind of name is Tristram? I've never seen this name. Tristram? I don't know. These English names, you guys, I don't know. They're a struggle for me. Oh, that lemonade is good. Need another gulp. Okay. I haven't actually met him. Nice chap, bit wet behind the ears, bit of a lefty by all accounts, but you can't have everything. Not like that, Athers, you effing spoon. Shouldn't say that, of course. For all I know, you're a lefty too. You're not a sinister Marxist, are you, Robert? Oh, Jesus, another one. I'm leaving the club in the hands of communists. Quite right, too, probably. He giggles playfully. Sorry, I'm talking absolute bollocks. No more exams, you see. Bit pissed. There is no effing way that was a wide, you blind bastard. Anyway, good luck. Make the most of it. Yeah, thanks. I've got my eye on you, Bobbington. Bye. Bye. The Eddie mentioned was the new president, and the Tristram Hunt was indeed the future and now former Shadow Education Secretary, Tristram Hunt. He seemed very young to my wizened 21-year-old gaze, and I mean it as a compliment when I say that he was sweet. He had made me laugh doing shows with his Trinity friends, but I was in a competitive mood, and I evaluated the threat. They are very white indeed. Tristram. And apparently he was shadow cabinet, shad cab. Oh dear. Here comes the threat, and relax. I was the funniest second year, and I was always right with the world. The rest of the committee were older than me, and I was keen to impress them. I'm amazed that he made it into a second year after the last chapter we read. I didn't think he would be staying at Cambridge. I didn't know, but I'm so glad I haven't really looked into his biography or read up on his history much, and I'm just kind of taking this in as as I read the book. I don't really know much about Robert Webb's life other than what I've read in this book, which is probably how it should be. But yeah, I mean, I was very much convinced he wasn't going to make it. The rest of the committee were older than me, and I was keen to impress them. There are times during the 3 main Footlight shows that year that I think I did impress them. Sharing a stage with them, moving through the gears of sketches we'd written, I sometimes feel as if I got them all, everyone in the audience, everyone on stage, everyone in the wings. I know what I'm doing out here, happy and warm under the lights, secure in the laughter of strangers. I wish I could sleep here. I'm the benevolent king of their joy. I am recognized and grinned at in the streets of Cambridge. I am the banana skin god of Footlights, and nothing can stop me now, except possibly the Robinson College Education Committee. Tick, tick, boom. Beowulf blows up in my stupid face. Translate this, please. Hawaiiat we gardina ingirdagum. Jesus. Pedsingninga. Primgefrunan. I have not studied Old English, so I can't make any of that out. I'm so glad the Normans conquered England because I would not be able to wrap my tongue around this horrible language. It's so ugly. No, what? You mean you haven't spent a year working this S word out? Ah, that's a pity because these are the first 2 lines of Beowulf, and we've got another 3,180 lines to go. Also minor texts like The Dream of the Rood, as well as various fragments. I mean, you've had a year to get the basics, yes. You've taken the language component of your English literature course seriously, I assume. Now you're ready to really get stuck in during those weekly 60-minute one-to-one tutorials. The specialist teacher assigned to you will be a leading academic in the field, of course. This is English at Cambridge University, is it not? Just you and the world expert alone in a room. It's an immeasurable privilege. It's what you asked for. Oh, F word. He spelled the F word out very long. But many using that F word. A little background. I'll try to be quick. Cambridge English comes in 2 parts. Part 1 is your first 2 years. It's a chronological plot through the canon of literature from Chaucer to the mid-20th century. At the end of your second year, if you haven't passed part 1 on your college, won't enter you for the specialist exams of part 2, which is their way of kicking you out. So the exams at the end of your second year really matter unless you want to go home to dad in disgrace and then fail to get a job with the Horncastle News. This would all be manageable even on my Footlight schedule if it weren't for the obligatory part 1 language component. You have to study a language. As BSers go, I've become quite good, but even I can't BS an entire language. If you did, say, Spanish or French at A level, then you could just carry on doing that. But I don't have a modern language at A level. So I, in the first week of my first term of my first year, have to choose between history of the English language or Old English. For once, I can't remember which bastard to blame for my own idiocy. But at some point in my first week at Robinson, some second year said, "Oh God, definitely do Anglo-Saxon, definitely. History of the English language is called hell for a reason. Ha ha, it's almost impossible." I don't know. I mean, I think I'd probably prefer to do history of the English language than Anglo-Saxon. I mean, nobody speaks Anglo-Saxon, but like, I don't know. I just feel like it would be more applicable to read or study history of English literature and language, because it is it's interesting. Fine, I thought I'll just learn Anglo-Saxon. I mean, how hard can it be? How many words can they possibly invented before 1066? Boat, sword, rain? This is going to be a DOS. It's with that attitude that I turn up at my first Old English seminar in front of about 70 students. The Canadian tutor holds up a copy of his book, A Guide to Old English. "Read this book," he chortles in an accent that's weird even for a Canadian, "and you'll never need to come to one of my seminars again." The undergraduates around me chuckle indulgently. Not come back to the seminars, the very thought, my goodness. I make a note of the title and the author. I buy the book. I ditch the seminars. I leave Canadian Laughing Boy's book on a shelf for a year. So here we are in one of Robinson's meeting rooms with 7 stern-faced academics who are playing tag team interrogation with the intention of scaring the S word out of me. You're cooking in chess right now. Oh my. You're playing chess? Okay. Cambridge has a college league table based on exam scores. At this time, Robinson was regularly competing with Magdalen to come bottom. So any student capable of getting a 2-1, but looks as if they're going to do worse, is a cause for agitation. My Anglo-Saxon supervisor has dumped me. She was a massive expert from Trinity Hall. She registered my complete ignorance of Anglo-Saxon with polite alarm. She then noted that I kept not turning up to supervisions, claiming to be ill even though my face was on posters all over town. She then wrote a letter to Robinson, refusing to waste any more of her time on me and predicting a definite fail in my Anglo-Saxon exam. Not a third, you understand. A third being the lowest mark you can get. No, a fail. An almost unheard of level of academic ignominy. Ignominy. So I sit there in my oversized navy blue jumper with my thumbs poking through the holes in the sleeves. One of the firing squad is an SPS sociology fellow who also works at the counseling service. I bumped into her every now and again, and we nodded at each other. My friend Dora is one of her students, but the university counseling service has strict rules about confidentiality. It is my job to mention that I'm in a spot of trouble, as well as trying to cure the trouble through comedy, as opposed to the Tupperware method that I still can't quite take my eyes off. He's referring to a Tupperware full of his deceased mother's medication that he was contemplating killing himself by taking. I mean, really? Do they teach? I mean, I assume they would teach it at Cambridge, but I don't know what university or what college they would do like any sort of Egyptology at. I had a period as a child where I was obsessed with Egypt. So, I mean, I looked into it like thinking, what if I could become an Egyptologist? I'm glad I didn't go down that path. That would be a very difficult career. And just, can you imagine trudging through the desert all the time? They have everything at Cambridge. Okay, I'm not surprised. I've studied Latin. I would take Latin, definitely. I would love to take that level of Latin. as such, I only took a year in high school and then my own personal study of it. So you ate sticks of butter out of the fridge. My God. I can't really eat butter like that. It has to be with something. Like I cook with butter, but I can't just eat butter, like bite into it and eat it. But yeah, they'll put you into ketosis, I'm sure. Anyway, y'all. Hello to Point Fire and Modern Gentlemen who have joined the chat as well. Okay, let's see. So the sociology fellow spends the next 20 minutes looking at me sympathetically, but she can't intervene. It only took me about 10 years to stop fantasizing about the smart replies and witty comebacks I could have come out with that afternoon. Luckily, I'm completely over the experience now and have no interest in settling scores. So, Dr. Satan Jizzcake is the first to speak. He looks at me briefly. That's quite a name, Satan Jizzcake. He looks at me briefly for the first and last time. He will address most of his comments to the ceiling, or to the window, or to his pipe when he takes it from in between his thin lips. He's the kind of teacher who tells his third-year history undergraduates that they should spend the whole of their third term playing cricket, because if they don't know what they're doing by now, they never will. He says quietly, as if explaining with infinite patience to a Labrador puppy that it's not okay to S-word in mommy's handbag. You appear to have structured your life in such a way as to bring shame upon your college. It may be otiose. I mean, there are so many words in this like chapter. I can't. What is otiose? Like, how is this pronounced? What is this word? I'm struggling here, y'all. Otiose. Odios. Serving no practical purpose or result. Heated fuss, uttering odious explanations. Archaic, indolent, or idle. Man, he's just, odious. Okay, it may be odious to expect an explanation, but I'm obliged to ask for one. Odious. Christ. Okay, so I guess that's where he learned that word. What is an appropriate age for a girl to get a navel piercing? I would never, ever suggest a girl get a navel piercing. God. Navel piercing is so trashy. I can't even with a navel piercing. I mean, I've known a number of girls who got it, but to me it was always like, I mean, really? You want to pierce that? And why? Because you're going to have your bare midriff out? Is that appropriate? I really don't think it's appropriate to expose your navel. Like, if you're going to have any kind of like, if you're going to be wearing any kind of like crop top or something, your pants better be high, or your skirt, you better have a high waist on that. We don't need your whole stomach hanging out. It's inappropriate. I don't think it's appropriate. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, not in my house. If I'm mom in that house, not in my house. Take it out. If you do get it pierced, you're taking it out right now. Enjoy getting it pierced again when you move out and you have all that scar tissue built up, honey. Yeah, no way. That is a trashy piercing. I'm sorry. No. Like, no. What? Why? Why are you asking me? Are you trying to expose me? Go to sleep. Well, hopefully I'll put you. I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not a placement. It's not a piercing that I've ever liked. there's some piercings that I've looked at people and liked, but I don't know. At this point, I just don't. I'm not into it at all. The only things I've had pierced are my ears and my nostril, and like I don't even wear the nostril piercing anymore. I stopped wearing it years ago, so I just don't. I don't think so. It ain't. It ain't the look. It ain't ladylike, and it ain't happening in my house. I mumble, no, that's fair enough. I'm definitely a bit behind with Anglo-Saxon, but I think I can make it up. Make it up. I mean, make up the time, the work. Dr. Jizzcake looks out of the window as if I've just shoved my fingers under his nose and told him to sniff. But that's okay because Dr. Damien Cum Bigley, oh, he's making a lot of gross, he said jizz and now cum. And it's spelled that way, y'all. I'm sorry. I can't, it's full of swears and dirty things. A lawyer is there to take up the baton. How do you propose to catch up if you haven't got a supervisor? Well, I say, forming the words and knowing too late that this isn't going to go down very well. You don't always need a supervisor, do you? The room emits a controlled gasp. What you probably don't do if you want to ingratiate yourself with a room full of teachers is imply that when it comes to learning something, teachers are a sort of optional bonus. Dr. Cumbigley slowly scratches one side of his beard. You're going to study Anglo-Saxon on your own and get a respectable mark in that paper, are you? I hope so, yes. But you didn't come to Cambridge to become an autodidact, did you, Robert? You could have done that. And Cumbigley looks down his notes and pronounces the next words with distaste. Lincolnshire. She's 11? Oh, hell no. Yeah, it's too bad Yoda wasn't here for that. What, 11 and wanting to, I didn't know girls were still getting their belly buttons pierced, honestly. It's just not a good idea. It's not a good place to get pierced. It's so likely to catch on something or bump into something. You know, I don't know about y'all, but like, it's often where like your pants or like whatever is going to, cinch at. I mean, it's the part where your belly button is usually the like slimmest part of your waist. It's not a good idea. It's always seemed to, and I remember girls like piercing it and then it getting infected or like just being prone to infections. Also just surface piercings like that. I don't know. It's not good. Like I understand piercing cartilage, but no, I'm not into most piercings, y'all. You know what I really detest though? I really detest the like septum piercings, where people get the bull rings. They're extremely popular with the Gen Z and the youth. I have to say, like, I can't believe the number of them that have like a bull ring in, and it's such a unattractive piercing. I've always disliked it. Everybody that looks okay with it too would look 10 times better without it. Anyway. Okay, so let's see. I smile and nod ruefully as if he's made a brilliant joke. He's a big enough C word to go for it. He looks pleased that I've accepted his obvious point and snooty put down. Fine. This one's too vain to be a problem, but the other one is talking again. Dr. Jizzcake inspects his unlit pipe. Even if one were to take your apparent optimism at face value, and supported as it is by the slightest evidence, your position as an undergraduate qua member of this college is nevertheless moot. I say, yeah. Jizzcake is cooking with gas. If it is your intention or even aspiration to remain as an aforementioned member of this college, then one is forced on pain of repetition to seek the reasons for your current failure, and moreover, your implicit lack of respect for your tutors, your peers, and your college. Put crudely, you have let everybody down. Why? At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm about to leap up, grab Dr. Jizzcake's pipe out of his hand, and violently jab the stalk into one of his ears. I'm just fighting the impulse when the lawyer adds for good measure. We know you're in footlights. Okay, this is getting silly. It's like hearing a Dalek say, we know you like custard. I just about keep it together. What I say next isn't calculated. I thought I should just try telling the truth, but at the back of my mind, I'm also aware that this is a room full of repressed old men. Jizzcake himself looks like he gets up. Like if he gets up, he's going to take that whole armchair with him. I'm just going to have to embarrass him to death. I look as crumpled and unhappy as I can, which isn't much of a stretch because I'm feeling very crumpled and deeply unhappy. That's right, I have done some shows with footlights. I suppose I'm thinking about my future life, but I understand that's causing trouble now. I'll try and work much harder. I've just found it difficult because there's been some emotional issues. The sociologist creases her brow. She doesn't think I should do this in a hostile environment. Dr. Cumbigly feels no such compunction. What emotional issues? Bingo. I shift awkwardly in the chair and decide to stop blinking. If you don't blink, of course, your eyes go red and will start to produce tears after about a minute. I don't really need to do this because the emotion happens to be real. Still, belt and braces, eh? I look out of the window just like Dr. Jizzcake and pretend I'm in a play. It's all stupid, really. There's a boy here that I fell in love with. I thought he was the best thing in the world. I just read the picture of Dorian Gray, and then he walked into the bar and I couldn't believe my eyes, but I was wrong to give him my trust. I briefly check if Jizzcake looks like he's about to be sick. He does. Jolly good. You're coming down with me, Jizzcake, all the way down. At the same time, I was also F-wording this amazing, I was having a casual sexual relationship with a really nice girl. Young woman, I mean. I can't explain it. Sometimes physically, two people just click, don't they? I probably shouldn't say, but I mean Lily Evans. Dr. Cumbigly keeps his face static while recrossing his fat legs. I'm slightly ashamed of that because it was loveless. Tears forming, stay on target. But the point is that they started going out with each other and then I couldn't do anything. I don't mean that I couldn't do any work. I mean I couldn't really eat. Snot has started to dribble onto my upper lip. I'm going to leave it right there for now. What a sad boy. What a sad man. Bubble wrapping a child is dangerous. Okay, well, my dad let me get my nostril pierced when I was 15. He actually took me to get it done. So I still think that was a bit too young. I'd probably, if you're okay with it, I'd probably wait till they were 16 or something. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I recommend not getting them too into that stuff too early. I mean, once they're on their own, it's their body. They can do what they want with it, but I don't know. I don't think that a belly piercing is a good idea for a teen girl. It's also just, yeah, it doesn't send a good signal. Oh, that's a weird siren. Oops. I didn't turn this thing on, did I? Got my little foot bath here. No, okay. Okay, so let's see. Tears forming, stay on target. Okay. Snot has started to dribble onto my upper lip. I'm going to leave it right there for now. So I started going to the counseling service, and they said it might be to do with my mother dying a couple of years ago. I don't know if that's true. Bravely wipes eyes with sleeve off jumper, sniff up the snot, wipe remainder of snot with other sleeve, and then stare at it. But anyway, I've been going there every week for nearly a year. I think it helps. At least I've stopped thinking about doing something I shouldn't think about. I don't know, to be honest. The word honest hangs in the air. They're not really going for this, are they? I look up helplessly and find the light from the window so the remainder of the tears and snot will glisten. Then I look down again. It's easily the finest performance of my life so far. That's not saying much, but these guys are too busy to watch television or go to the theater, so they don't really know bad acting when they see it. Hey! You lying on me, you lying. You woo. Hey, what you doing? Oh. What's going on? Yeah, oh, there is. Hey, don't scratch my, hey. No. No. Hell no, what you doing? Sorry, y'all, we're having an interlude. There is that's the cops. That's not no ambulance. There's cops out there. I wonder if something went down. Didn't hear anything going down. Didn't hear a crash. Didn't hear any kind of yelling or kerfuffle. Hope nobody, I don't know. Traffic seems to be odd too. Interesting, y'all. I don't know. Why are you bitching at me, huh? What? Meow. Leap. What you doing over there, baby? What you doing? Meow. You was lying, wasn't you? You was lying. You was lying, weren't you? Isn't he cute? There we go. That's what I thought. He stays lying on me, y'all. I don't know what to do about it. Okay, so let's see. The sociologist says gently, going forward, we could perhaps agree a realistic work schedule that you could cover during the Easter break. I nod seriously. That sounds sensible. I risk a glance at my tormentors. Dr. Jizzcake is mortified on several levels. Bad enough he just had to endure an emotional outpouring from a semi-hysterical child. But he has also been made to consider that if there's one thing in the world, there's one thing that would look worse for Robinson than a 2-to-1 student getting a third, it's probably a 2-to-1 student lobbing himself off a high balcony. Dr. Cumbigley, on the other hand, is still in a slack-jawed contemplation of any part of this person going click physically with Lily Evans. Well, I did tell 15 that 21 was a wanker, didn't I? There again, I hadn't quite lied. I just given the truth a bit of a push so that it came to life. The style was questionable, but the content was true. It was real in the story. They didn't kick me out, for which I am extremely grateful. My solo efforts with Anglo-Saxon just scraped over the bar, and I got a 2-2 for my Part 1 exams overall. After that, they basically left me alone. I wish Dr. Satan Jizzcake a long and happy retirement. Hello, Batman. Your cat just bit you? Oh, dear. They will do that. Mine bites me sometimes, but he doesn't have any teeth, so it doesn't hurt. But you can tell he's mad, and you can tell he wishes it would hurt. He'd just be gnawing on me with his little gums. It's cute. I never got over the fundamental weirdness of counseling sessions. I spent an hour a week doing precisely the thing that, as a man, I'm not supposed to do, talking at some length about my feelings. My counselor is not the head guy who assessed me, but another man, Michael. He's slightly younger, but still reassuringly gray-haired, bespectacled, and in cardiganed. Okay, so he's got the gray hair, the glasses, and the cardigan. Okay, good. I turn up every Thursday morning and we go into the kitchen where Michael makes us a mug of coffee each and we chat about the weather. Then, and this is the strangest part, we go up to his room. Two men silently trudging up some stairs, carrying their coffees as if we're about to work on a spreadsheet or plan a bank heist. But no, we're not going to do anything. Apparently, it seems we're just heading to a comfy office with a carpet and some plants and a couple of armchairs, where one man is going to listen to another man discuss the problems in his brain. There's a part of me walking up the stairs thinking, this is so gay. It would almost be less gay if we were going to his room to F-word each other. At least that would be sex. At least that would be an activity. Spectacled, in spectacles, wearing spectacles. Be spectacled. Many years later, I met a very nice chap who was a GP. He told me that when men come into his surgery with signs of depression, he would put forward various options, including meditation and talking therapy. Oh, surprisingly, they're quite up for a spot of meditation. At least you can do that on your own, but not talking, anything but talking. So look, lads, make of it what you will, but it goes like this. No, there isn't a couch or a chaise lounge. No, he doesn't have a goatee beard or a Viennese accent. Neither does he hypnotize me or ask about my dreams. I sit down and he says, "How are you?" And then I tell him about my week, keeping an eye on the bits that made me inexplicably sad. Sometimes I end up crying, but not often. I do most of the talking and he does most of the listening. I'm under no obligation to be miserable. But crucially, I'm under no obligation to be cheerful either, nor to apologize for wasting his time. I apologize anyway. One day he says, "Robert, I get this from students all the time, especially the male students. Yes, of course, there is always someone worse off than you. But imagine you're in a doctor's surgery. Excuse me. Imagine you're in a doctor's surgery with a broken arm. The person next to you has two broken arms. The person next to him has two broken arms and a broken leg. This is all very well, but the point is that you have a, excuse my throat, keeps going out. You have a broken arm and it hurts. The others may indeed be worse off, but they aren't here this morning. You are. So tell me about your broken arm." The judgment-free listening is the main value of it. I like him, but he is not my friend, and he is not my grandmother. He literally doesn't have anything better to do with his time. Spending the week being able to think every now and again, well, this is a horrible experience going on in my head, but at least I can tell Michael about it on Thursday, makes all the difference. I stopped going because something brilliant happened. I probably shouldn't have stopped, but I was so happy it felt ridiculous to carry on. How could I possibly take up any more of this man's time when literally no one in the universe has ever been so lucky or so blessed as me? Her name was Clara. Here we go. Here we go. Another woman coming in for him to, put on a pedestal and suck dry. Can't wait. Well, that's a great idea, Stacy. Stacy says the border wall is going to be wired with Tesla free energy technology. That's how Trump can promise 50 to 70% slashed energy costs nationwide. Wow. I saw one of those Tesla Cybertrucks this morning when I went out to get a coffee. It was ugly. The first one I saw in person was very ugly, but this one, still ugly. I told people I thought it was ugly, and they're like, no, in time you'll think they're cute. And I'm like, no, this thing is ugly. Why is it shaped like that? It's hideous. Hideous. It does not belong on Earth. It's hideous. It does not belong on the road. Maybe it belongs in a desert somewhere where no one can see the ugly thing. I don't know. She was a showgirl. No, she wasn't. She was a student at Robinson. You can overdo it with the word beautiful when talking about people in their early 20s. But it's probably worth saying that Clara was funny and charming and had the kind of face I could happily spend a couple of days just staring at. Had that kind of behavior not been considered freakish, even in the 1990s. She had been one of the exotic third years, friends with Mag, Sam, and a few others. So here she's an older woman too. Older woman. He's a first year, she's a third year. And she's going to fall into his life and make him so happy that he, doesn't need his therapy anymore because now he has mommy to dump all his problems on. This is exciting, isn't it? There was a whole gang of them, that I hung around with in my first year. Oh, no, wait. So this would be his second year and her fourth year then. Now, Clara and some of the others were renting a house on the outskirts of Cambridge, trying to work out what to do next. The sad grads, they called themselves. I was determined that wasn't going to happen to me, but I was grateful that some of them had stuck around, especially Clara. This wasn't the first time I was bananas about someone, and not the first time someone was clearly bananas about me. And it wasn't the first time I'd had a girlfriend. But it was the first time all three things converged on the same person. And holy heck, I can very highly recommend that state of affairs. Yeah, it is nice when those things align, I suppose. It isn't nice when they aren't aligned, I have to say. It's definitely not a situation to be in if those stars aren't aligned. It's hard to get all three, though, isn't it? You can be bananas about someone, but they're not bananas about you, or they can be bananas about you, but you're not really bananas about them. Or you can be bananas about each other, but you're not in a relationship. So, what a mess, huh? Sometimes in the second year house I was sharing with Patrick, Joe, and Dora, they would catch a look on my face and wonder if I was stoned. Then Dora would squeal with delight, "Nah, he's thinking about Clara." Suddenly I had to go on tour with footlights. Bollocks. I was one of a cast of 5 in the summer review, which was exactly what I'd come to Cambridge to do. But now that I'd found the love of my life, it was almost a drag. The committee appointed Simon Shingles to be the tour manager. He got the job because of his abiding love for footlights, and also because he had a trust fund and a BMW. It's not that Eddie and the rest of us were impressed by his wealth, more that we were impressed by how much our near bankrupt club could do a tour without having to buy many train tickets. Simon was affable enough, but tended to wind everyone up by bollocking on about the importance of professionalism and how we needed to behave like professionals in the professional entertainment industry. To be fair to Simon, our main objection was that it spoiled the illusion that this was all still just a lark. It was too scary to take seriously. Not all actors go into the business hoping to be famous, but I did. There are 60,000 actors in the UK spotlight, the performers directory, so that's 60,000 people who have sufficiently got their S-word enough together to get an agent and proper photograph of their hopeful faces. If you spent a tortuous week going through those 60,000 faces, how many do you reckon you could put a name to? 300, 400? What I'm saying is the actors you see being interviewed on TV are the people who knew that the chances of getting what they wanted were approximately 0.5%. And then they got what they wanted anyway. No wonder they all sound mental. The vast majority of the lucky ones will acknowledge that they are lucky because of luck. There are always some, however, who think they've been lucky for reasons more to do with destiny and their own innate specialness. The profession has its own term for these people. See Chapter 12 under a brief word about cunts. But despite rolling my eyes with the others every time Simon mentioned today's cutthroat comedy sphere, I started to concentrate. If I was going to marry Clara, and that after about 4 weeks was my firm intention, then I'd need a good living, wouldn't I? I mean, she was obviously going to get a job one day, but in the meantime, someone would have to provide for our many blonde children. That was definitely my job. It didn't occur to me to run any of these ideas past Clara. She was in love with me. I was in love with her. Good. So that's decided. I had to be good in this show. I more or less had a family to support. Simon's finest hour as tour manager was undoubtedly the booking of the Brighton Dome. Mysteriously, he'd managed to secure this huge venue at the last minute for one night only. Sadly, this meant we were not in the theater program and there were no posters anywhere. By the time we arrived, it became clear how Simon had pulled this off. What we'd been used to were 200 to 300 seat places, which were usually more than half full. That's all you need, really. It doesn't matter how big the room is, you just want the audience to look around and weigh their own numbers, reassuring themselves they haven't picked a dud. What we got in Brighton was a 2,000-seat venue on the night of the 1994 World Cup final. When I'd asked how many tickets we'd sold, Simon conceded that the pre-sales were on the disappointing side of brilliant. When pressed, he said that the actual figure, if we really want to dwell on a literal figure, was something in the vicinity of 15. When he came under some pressure to clarify, Simon clarified it was 12. He suggested we might need to go flyering. I looked out upon the vast sea of empty red seats, disappearing into the distance on 3 tiers. Everyone called Simon a dick for a while and took their allocation of flyers. I took mine, about 300 expensively printed, glossy, 2-color A6 publicity leaflets that I was now expected to spend most of the day handing out to the residents of Brighton. Hi, Zenny. F word that. How could I possibly be expected to support my family under these conditions? I walked away from the theater until I knew I was out of sight of the others, binned the flyers, and headed for the nudist beach. Oh, Rob. What can I tell you? I was 7 when I saw a grown-up news report about the opening of Brighton Naturist Beach in 1980. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but these people are bare, outside. They don't seem to mind that everyone can see. I suppose 21 wants to show 7 that well-adjusted grown-ups are cool about nudity. More immediately, it's a hot day. I haven't gotten any swimming trunks, and I can't think of anything better to do. I trudge along the beach for half a mile and squint into the distance. Yep, there they are. I peel my footlights tour shirt. I peel off my footlights tour shirt t-shirt before I get there. I'm struggling with this sentence. Okay, one more time. I'm going to do it, y'all. I'm going to get through this sentence. I peel off my footlights tour t-shirt before I get there. That was good, huh? Somehow it won't do to be recognized as a Cambridge Review performer in such an environment. Whatever would Eleanor Braun think? The clientele appears to be 80% single men who have spaced themselves out with a precise geometry that reminds me of a gent's loo. As in, if one man takes the far left urinal and the second takes the far right, the third will aim dead center and the fourth will perfectly dissect a spot of the remaining spaces. I follow this rule and find a spot. The nearest guy is about 3 meters away, and I carefully position my Doc Martens to obstruct his view of my. He uses the C word for his you know what. I'm sure you all know the C word that is used for male genitalia. I don't think I need to say such a word. Which is odd because if I didn't want people to see my C word, then why did I just take off my underpants in public? I mull this and other philosophical questions over, sitting cross-legged and looking out to sea. I think about footlights and whether this tour is going to lead to fame and fortune. I imagine the sea as a stadium. The reflections on the water look like a billion fish with flash bulbs all taking my picture. You know what, modern gentleman? You're a modern gentleman. You know the word. His rooster. More exposure. That's what I need. I think reaching for a cigarette, much more exposure. The Zippo has run out of fuel and my lighting attempts have attracted the attention of my neighbor. Can I help? He says, holding up a lighter. Oh, yes, please. I shape my hands for a catch, but instead of throwing the lighter, he keeps it in his outstretched hand and lights it. Ah, I see. I get up awkwardly, step over my boots and across the warm pebbles to crouch down near the man. He's looking right at me, but I don't make eye contact. Little Tart Fauntleroy has now entered don't encourage them mode. It's a new mode, and I think it's not as much fun as I thought it might be. I don't know. I've never been to a nude beach. There's one near here, but I've never had any interest in getting nude in public. You know what I mean? I remember years ago, when Mish Fest was still happening, the last year, there were all these women trying to encourage me to go, and I wasn't in a spot to go, and I was planning to move anyway from where I was living. I was still living in Arizona at that time. So I really couldn't, be trying to, make that happen when I was trying to make this big move happen. But yeah, I remember all these women trying to convince me to go, and I have no regrets about not ever attending Mish Fest, honestly. But a lot of them were talking about how great it is. You can be topless and just go about topless everywhere. And I'm like, well, why on earth would I want to do that? And they were like, no, Terri, you don't understand. Once you get there, everyone's doing it. And I'm like, just because everyone else is topless, it makes me even more uncomfortable. I don't want to be nude in public. And I get that it's a private event anyway, but even if it's all women, around, I mean, if I'm in a changing room or something, I've never been I'm not extremely shy, but I'm also not really trying to just let it all hang out the way some people do, I'm trying to just, mind my business, get dressed or undressed and into whatever, I'm supposed to be wearing. But you know what I mean? I'm not trying to just hang out and be naked. I'm just talking. I'm responding to this. Do some of them wear cowbells? I don't know. I know. It feels animalistic. I miss EJ Trills. I haven't seen her in a while. Last time I saw her, though, she said I was the best looking person in the JLP chat. She's like, I'm not gonna lie, you're probably the best looking one here. I was like, oh, that's so nice. EJ Trills. I knew we would be friends one day. I knew if I kept working at her that one day we would be friends. She gets a bit crazy though. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. So this idea that he went to this nude beach is so weird. Maybe Zenny. Okay, so let's see. Okay. I thank him and scramble back to sit on my clothes. For the next minute or so, he tries to talk to me across the little gap, but soon tires of that, so just invites himself to come and sit next to me, spreading his towel about a foot away and propping himself up on an elbow. This wasn't the idea. I mean, yeah, I also feel like, I don't know. Bubbalandia says, I think that nude spaces are often an equalizer among the class divide. I don't know. Well, I didn't think she was sexually attracted to me, Zenny. I just thought she was saying I was attractive, like good looking. I didn't think she was hitting on me or anything. My goodness. I didn't even think she swung that way. Now I don't know. Okay, back to our little reading about Robert's awkward time at the nude beach. She was not hitting on me. I know women often compliment each other's looks. It's not odd. Yeah, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, I tell women they're pretty or attractive or, whatever. Like, give a woman her props. Aegis Maze. Aegis definitely not Maze. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. No way would Maze get in the chat and say some of the things that Aegis says. Okay, let's see. But then, now that I look around, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Even without clothes, some of the single men around me are exhibiting what I imagine to be telltale hints of cultural uniform. Some shaved heads, the odd piercing, a general air of ironic reserve. It suggests to me that Dorothy isn't in Kansas anymore, but is certainly among friends. The friend that wants to be friends with me introduces himself. Jason is Earl. Who's Jason? Is there a Jason in the chat? I'm not familiar with Jason in the chat. Brian, says Brian, lighting a cigarillo with his free hand. Brian doesn't look much like the others. He's about 60 and averagely overweight. He obviously spends plenty of time here since all of him is chestnut brown. In fact, as he offers a hand in greeting, the only tan line I can see is on his ring finger. Yo! Brian is cruising at the nude beach and he's got a tan line on his ring finger. Is he taking his ring off? Yeah, Jason's weird. Jason with the video games. Yeah, he's definitely on the spectrum. He's definitely not Earl either. I mean, I don't even know. Earl was like before my time, but I was watching I've heard some Earl calls on like the Savage Moments, and then I also was watching an old episode of the Hake Report, and he called into Hake, and that was funny. Yeah. Well, Earl, wherever you are, we wish you well. If I spent the first 10 minutes on the beach worrying that I might get an erection, the feel of Brian's firm, sun-creamy handshake leaves me wondering if I'll ever get one again. He starts to engage me in a conversation about local house prices. I nod through this as he puts on a pair of mirror sunglasses. Oh, I love wearing mirrored sunglasses. T from Alabama. Yeah. I've heard some of his calls too. But yeah, again, before my time. How long have you all been in that world? How long have you been listening to Jesse and his message? I'm interested. Anyway, they have the effect, along with the cigarillo, the missing wedding ring, and the mortgage chat, of making me think that Brian is a man with a foot in two camps and not very happy in either. Indeed. Oh God, I wonder. I would be so upset. I mean, I have a friend who her husband was gay and um, like cheating on her quite a bit with men, and like at first she was kind of like tolerant of it in a way, but it started to get to the point where he was just like, going out all the time and cruising, and she just couldn't deal with it. And they had two kids, man. And, they've stayed very good friends. He has a relationship with his kids. And I'm still friendly with them both, actually. But like, yeah, I remember when they first were getting divorced, I was kind of like, I don't know, just upset with him in a way. And just, I felt for her too, because like, I guess I felt for her in so many ways, because she's like, at the time, she's like in her 40s, she's had two kids, she's built this whole life, and now it's like falling apart at the seams. But I don't know, like, I don't know. I guess a lot of women go through this experience. It's rough. I mean, I have another neighbor too, that he's a gay man, and he was telling me about how he was married and he has two sons, with his ex-wife, and they still have a good relationship. They're still friends and stuff. But I'm like, man, like, how do you not be angry about that as a woman? I mean, you do have to let it go, though, and try to have a decent relationship. If you're a decent person, not hold on to the anger. But man, I feel like I would be very angry. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's not even so much anger. It's just like, just feeling like, oh, it's complicated out here, isn't it? So there I am, looking at my 21-year-old body reflected in the sunglasses of this porky closet case who keeps fiddling with his nuts. And I detect the limits of the gay part of my nature as well the limits of my generosity. I don't feel threatened by Brian, and his interest isn't demeaning. But I don't feel sorry for him either, because he's spoiling my morning. And what would it be like if it were every morning? What if being desirable to men meant that I got this kind of attention all the effing time? It feels, as I make my excuses and get dressed, as if Brian has taught me some kind of lesson. From now on, whenever I hear a wolf whistle as a woman walks past a bunch of fat-arsed builders on her way to work, I'll think of Brian. Yes, I conclude as I leave the beach. The way I had to put up with that man imposing his presence and boring me senseless while constantly readjusting his balls has taught me basically everything I need to know about sexual harassment. Well, what happened to the light? 6 years, huh? Wow, that's a long time. That's awesome, though. 6 years. 6 whole years. And how have you changed in that time? How has it impacted you? I think I might change the color of this light. I don't like it. Got like dark. I don't know. Let's see. Let's play with the colors. Yeah, guys. Interlude. Red. Ooh. That's better. Hi, Galahad. I was hopelessly wrong about that, of course. I hadn't learned the first thing about sexual harassment. Okay, maybe the first thing, but not the next 20. There are many exceptions, but on average, most men have an advantage in upper body strength compared with most women. I don't think for a second that Bryant meant me any harm. No, he didn't mean you harm, honey. I mean, he did. He did. But that's a good thing, modern gentleman. He says, I've definitely changed for the better. I stay in the moment and stay focused on me. I seek God and what's right and first in all things. It's been amazing. Amazing. But if he had, skinny as I was, I could have thumped him harder in the face and kicked him harder in his fussed over nutsack than most women of my age and weight could do. Being harmlessly chatted up, never mind groped or attacked by someone stronger than me, that would have felt different. That would have felt very different indeed. Clara came to stay in Woodhall Spa. Dad was at his most charming. When we visited John and Trudy, Dada was wearing a tie, and True had made cucumber sandwiches with the crust cut off. I sit next to Clara on the swings in the park, talking about our future house by the sea and naming our future children. So far, it's the happiest day of my life. What could possibly go wrong? A young man may call himself a feminist, but to do so is hardly a test of character. It isn't even a test of feminism. He'll find out how firmly he believes that women have minds of their own when one of them breaks his heart, at which point we might all be in for a bit of disappointment. Louis Buzzy, the day drinker, was funny. Is this another caller that you're reminiscing about? Okay, so that was the end of chapter 11. I think we're going to plug on since we're only an hour in and the night is still young. So this is chapter 12 titled Men Understand Women. Sometimes you get a flash of what you look like to other people. Zadie Smith on Beauty. Did you hear that? Okay, let's actually take a little intermission because I'm being lied about and slandered. What? What you want, baby? What you want? Yeah, you come running. What you want? You want some lap or something? What you want? You want some attention? I tell you, this cat today, he's been a good kitty, though. He's been a good kitty. My sweetheart. Here, yeah, I am kind of, yeah. You're right. I'm in here too. There we go. What about that? You can get my lap now. What you think about that? All this lap? You can have this lap. You can have some lap. Yeah, come here. You want some lap? You want some lap, my little mud? Come on. Get up here. You know you want some lap. Come on, babes. Come on, kitty. You know you want some lap. Yeah. Come on, kitty. Don't you be digging your claws in my clothes. Come on, up. Up. I know you want some. He's thinking about it. Come on. Come on, dude. Come on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Hey, kitty. Hi, kitty. Oh, my goodness. You having some feelings again? You need to stop that. They're no good for you. Why are you having so many feelings? What you want from me, sweetie? You bored? You want to go outside or something? You ain't going outside. Ain't no dang way you going outside. Ain't no way. Ain't no how. Ain't no dang way. I'm gonna cross my legs. What you think about that? Yeah, there's still all this lap. She got a good lap for a kitty to lay in. Huh? You're so cute. You're so cute and so sweet. Best kitty in the world. Best kitty in all Christendom. Hmm? Who's a good kitty? Pardon me, y'all. What a good kitty. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Look what them paws do. You do that with them paws? What you doing with them paws? I can't wait to read about how Clara breaks Robert's heart. This is going to be awesome, y'all. What do you want to bet? There are a million red flags. I bet she, you know what? I bet it was she didn't want to get married to him, have kids, and live by the sea. I would like to live by the sea, though. That would be nice. I sometimes miss it. When I was really little, I lived by the sea. It was nice to just kind of like be able to go. I mean, my dad took me almost every day to the ocean, and I got to play. And I don't know, just something about that air by the sea. It's different. Air, the sky, everything. The houses, everything. I've thought about it too, especially since like working remotely. Like, would it be better if I relocated to like seaside or something, you know? But then I don't know. I don't know that it would be good for me to live, you know, that far out of Portland. I mean, seaside is nice, but I imagine it gets kind of depressing there in the winter. And it's so busy during the summer. I don't know. And like, I don't know anyone out there. You know, I don't know anyone out there. I'd find community, obviously, but you know, I don't know. Not Seaside, Oregon. Seaside, Oregon. I think yeah, if I had to live out at the one of the towns, and I haven't been to every like coastal town, you know. I also thought about it with Manzanita. Manzanita's a nice little town. It's more of a hippie town. I might fit in better there, Manzanita. But it's really small. Yeah, I was there and I was looking at a rental a couple of years ago. There was this place for rent. I was like, what if I just moved out here? Like, rent's way cheaper. But yeah, there's only like one small grocery store in the town. Although they carry a lot. Yeah, their little grocer there that they have there, the Red Apple, is like packed with all the stuff that I like, you know. So I wouldn't go without anything that I really like. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't know that there's any like good doctors or dentists out there. And yeah, Portland is closer to like kind of hospitals, emergency services, that kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah. What I need to do is find a city at the on the coast, I think, which is why I've always been like, oh, maybe I'll go to California. But I'm not making California money yet. And most of the time people leave California, they come here, you know? They're like, oh, I know we're not making that California money. You deserve that though, don't you? You deserve that. What if she did? He's like, I don't want you spending it on living there. I want you to spend it on me. Get you a new cat tree. What else you want? Anything you want? Do I get my peaches out of Georgia? No, they grow peaches. I don't think he should, Zenny. I mean, he's on an age. I don't think he should relocate at his age, honestly. He's built quite a big thing, as is, and I don't think it would be smart or wise for them to move at this point. I just don't. I mean, maybe if he wants to, I don't know. Is he going to retire though? I don't think he will. I don't think they should, honestly. That's just my intuition. I don't think it's wise to. And honestly, I don't know. Zenny, why do you think I don't want to live in California? Like, what even makes you say that? To the point where you would call me the N word with a A and not the hard R. Modern gentleman says, steer clear of California. I live in Oregon. It's not politically very different here. It's just a bit cheaper and a bit colder. And yeah, we have peaches here. Actually, my pastor was saying they have a peach tree and they've got their first sprouting this year of actual peaches. So they're going to be bringing them in for us. Yeah, well, I live in Oregon, which is also a Democrat hellhole. It's not. Yeah, I don't think he should leave LA. I mean, he's in his late 70s now. Really? I don't think a man his age should be doing all that, relocating, all that business. And just, you think about the community they have there already with Bond. I don't know. Doesn't seem wise. Not everybody's going to go with them. The bad blats will get you. I don't want to ever live in Texas because the weather is awful. The weather is awful in Texas and Florida. Okay, Florida's weather is even worse because you're either freezing or sweating, and it's every single day that, you're freezing cold at night in the morning. And then once, it heats up, then you're dying of heat exhaustion and it's humid. Yeah, Florida's not. Florida's not it. I have family in Florida quite a bit, but I mean, there's some different parts of it. There's parts of it that are beautiful, but the weather is awful. And Texas is way bad. Texas is so hot. I lived in Arizona for a couple of years. I'm not doing that kind of heat again. I'm not dealing with that kind of months of being stuck inside because it's over 100 degrees out. I'm not doing that. I'm not living that life. I need my fresh air. I mean, maybe if I lived on the Gulf Coast, but even then I don't want to live that far south. If I live in California, then I could live on the coast where it's moderate. And even if it gets hot, it's still not that hot. But I don't know. It's really down to lifestyle. I like kind of the urban, I don't know. I'm a coastal elite. I'm not I'm a West Coast coastal elite type of person. Okay. I'm not. Right. Thank you, Dijon Panos. But yeah, I don't know. One thing I liked when I visited LA and San Diego is that in the morning time it's still decent enough that I can go out and not be sick, and it's not humid. So the weather's just decent. And then by the time the afternoon is, going and the heat is ramping up, I can just be inside, you know? You're going to move to Japan? Oceanside's really nice too. I spent some time there in Southern California. I don't know though, like then I really have to think about it. But I can't live in, I don't know. I'm really content though tier 2, so I I don't know though. What am I trying to say? I am noticing though that the winter is harder for me to deal with. The cold, the long winter, it is getting to me. It is impacting me physically too. And I did move away years ago thinking that when I moved to Arizona from here, I thought, okay, it'll be good for my condition. I won't have as much trouble. But then like all the other environmental factors made my health way worse. So I'm kind of like juggling like, okay, I need some place that has a moderate climate, where it's, I don't know, because here in the winter, it's just so cold and wet all winter. 100,000 yen isn't that much money. Yeah, I do not want to live in the South. It is humid over there. I don't like that kind of humidity. And then Seattle, Zenny suggests Seattle. So it's cold there. It's colder than here. It's darker and colder there than here. It rains more there than it does here, So the kind of trouble I'm having with winter here is going to be even more intense in Seattle. I don't know, man. It's like there's not a whole lot of places. And then I think like, well, maybe I could become a snowbird, live half of the year north and then live half of the year south, which might be best, honestly. Just go south for the winter. I know ain't no way I'm living in Toronto, Canada. It's cold there. It's so cold there. Oof. I don't do winter. I don't do snow. I don't do that. I don't do that. Come on, y'all. I'm handicapped. Do you think I want to be moving? Do you think I'm able to get like my wheelchair out and around in the snow? Come on. I need a mild climate. I need no snow. Or if it does snow, I need it to be like minimal. Okay, we've had enough of an interlude. Christ Conquers, I can't physically do that. Okay, so that's not possible with what's going on with me. Oh, that sounds awful, Dijon Pa. You live on some hot area. Get knobby tires. I know I could just get some snow tires. It still doesn't work that way. It's very difficult. Well, and also, also where I live, there's no plowing of the snow. But even if you plow the snow, being in Anchorage, I remember my dad, he was a bus driver in Anchorage, and he would have people who were like handicapped or disabled in some way, people who were wheelchair users, and, they would get on the bus to go like do certain things. And before winter hit, before the winter came in, they'd all be like buying up their supplies, going places and getting things that they wouldn't be able to get all year. I remember, him telling me the story, or not all year, but all winter. And the winter there is so long. as well. It's like intense. So I just, imagine there's all these people who are physically handicapped who are basically stuck inside all winter. So I don't want that life. Do not want that life. Somebody else said something I missed, but hold up. That man says, I'm moving back to Florida. Louisiana sucks. You're living in Louisiana? Yeah, Louisiana seems, no way. I know, I mean, there's some great people that are from there or that live there, but man, do I make any money from ad revenue on YouTube? Yeah, not much because I usually don't have my ads turned on, but it's not much. I maybe like make $100 a year in ad revenue, honestly. Like YouTube cuts me a check about once a year from ad revenue. Now that the super chats are a thing, though, that I'll get payments more often, which is exciting. It's like, oh, like, but even then, it's like maybe twice a year. Get my $100 check. This is a labor of love, y'all. So, okay, let's get back into the book. We've had enough conversation. I feel like we've had this conversation multiple times too. I don't want to harp on it, but yeah. Honestly, there's not a lot of places that in the US anyway I can see myself living, or even around the world. Yeah, Zenny. I mean, with YouTube, I mean, I did used to make more money on YouTube when I had a Patreon going. So when I was like doing Patreon, had that consistent, I was making like a more sizable income from it. Not necessarily, Zenny, but you need to diversify your, don't think that the ad money, you have to be making millions or getting millions of views for the ad money to really amount to much. If you have a modest channel, like it's not going to bring in much. And you have to understand my content is not like, I think with what you're doing and talking about, you could find an audience or you could build an audience around that. But like for me, I've just like changed so much over the years, and it's always just been kind of like focused on me or whatever I'm thinking at the time, whatever I'm into. Used to do a lot of like political content, not even really I mean, it was political, but it was like niche political. So, and then the fact that I kind of changed my mind. Yeah, I've got 5.2K subs. Yeah, but most of the people don't even want to watch me, or like, I've been on here for years. That I didn't get that in a day. Thank you, modern gentlemen. Hey. Well, think of you the next time YouTube cuts me a check. Thanks, honey. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just say like with YouTube, if you want to make money on YouTube, you really got to look at getting like memberships going, getting like something like a Patreon going, some kind of other thing, selling something as well. You can't just rely on you can't think that the ad revenue is going to amount to much, because it really doesn't for most YouTubers. Most YouTubers are making money from what they're selling, if they're doing promotions, if they've got like other platforms like Patreon, or, I mean, there's all kinds of things like that. If they're, but I found for me, that was when I had that going, I was making like monthly. I think at the most I was making like an extra $350 a month, which, hey, I mean, like that was nothing to, that was nothing to, it was helpful to me at the time. It definitely was a good chunk of money that was coming in. So, I know I don't even really have merch, and I do have channel subscriptions, people. So, or not channel subscription, memberships. So you can become a member of the Terri Strange channel and support me monthly. I think the lowest tier is like $1.99 a month. So that's a cool thing. And then you get like special badges and stuff. And I'm gonna like maybe do some emojis that are just like pictures of me. I don't know. Like me doing different faces. Put those on. I don't know. It's silly. But there's ways. With the memberships or like the channel memberships, you can do merchandise. But I don't really rep my stuff well. I mean, again, I have a job that is paying my bills right now. I don't really need to hustle that much, and nor do I really have the time and energy to focus, mentally on that right now. So you can make money on YouTube, Zenny. Don't feel discouraged. That's all I'm trying to say. Long-winded. You can make money on YouTube. You just have to figure out how you're going to make money, because it ain't going to be from AdSense. Okay. Men understand women, right? Chapter 12. Clara has started a director's course at a small and notoriously twattish drama school in North London. We see each other twice during the beginning of my third year at Robinson, and the rest is a grim stutter of awkward phone chats. We're both lousy on the phone, and it doesn't help that she hates her course and is utterly miserable. Hers is the kind of hardcore little school that seeks to break down student inhibitions by getting them to wear masks and then violently attack each other. The place is run by overmighty teachers who've had no one to challenge them since 1968. Baby boom dickwads manipulating go-for-it young people and not an audience in sight. The only thing these particular drama students are going to learn is how to be a drama teacher, or how not to be one. I won't pretend this is my first experience of having an unhappy girlfriend, but this time I actually care. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of money out there to make. Y'all, don't be discouraged. I just have a full-time job. And then I have my job takes a lot of my mental energy. I definitely do need to eat more meat, Christ conquers. That's true. I definitely do. I just about grasped that the sentence, "I wish you would cheer the F up," would be counterproductive. But beyond that, I have literally no idea what I'm supposed to do. Never mind. She's coming to see me in a show soon. I'll do some funny dancing. Girls love my funny dancing. But I know something is seriously wrong. As we've seen, when times are difficult, I usually take it out on my girlfriend. Now that my girlfriend is difficult, I take it out on Footlights. I'm now vice president. He was vice president of Footlights at Cambridge? This little... The new president is a man called Charlie, who is a brilliantly funny writer, but I'm the only writer-performer who has been on tour. Charlie has the title, but to all intents and purposes, I'm the goddamn star around here. It is not good for me. It wouldn't make me happy even if things were right with Clara. As things are, I'm at the height, the zenith, the very snow-capped peak of my own arrogant, insecure, minty dreadfulness. Enjoy. The show in which I expect to do the funny dancing is the Footlights pantomime that I'm writing with Charlie, Dick Whittington. I informed the director that I'll be playing Dick. Tim Shaw, a maths third year, slightly struggles with this and suggests that traditionally the principal boy in a pantomime is played by a girl. I explain that this won't be happening. Tim also wonders when he might get to see Act 1 of the script because time is already running short. I tell him with the obnoxious courtesy of someone who knows he holds all the cards that this stuff isn't always easy, but Charlie and I are doing our very best, and the script will certainly be ready when it's ready. Generally, Charlie is a bad influence, and I love it. He has a Withnailish quality, by which I mean he is outwardly clever, posh, rude, very funny, and often drunk. What goes on beneath the surface is infinitely more gentle, but not many people will get to see that. Later that year, I'll write a sketch called He's Just Shy, about the world's most appallingly rude bastard at a party whose friend keeps saying, he's just very shy and vulnerable. You would have to be a saint, or more accurately, a clinical psychologist, to see the vulnerability driving mine and Charlie's behavior that term. I don't like barbecue sauce, y'all. I don't like ribs, and I don't like barbecue sauce. And I hella don't like barbecue sauce. Like, nope. His college had given him a whole flat on the edge of town. I turn up with handwritten scenes, and he laughs like a maniac. Some scenes we write together. We sit at his Mac, and he touch types at a speed I find dazzling. There will be an endless supply of coffee and cigarettes till about 3 p.m., followed by an endless supply of cigarettes and red wine. We do a lot of laughing, partly about the script, but equally about how late the script is and how we're probably pissing everyone off. We sweep into production meetings in our long coats, late and emotional, making tosspot pronouncements and generally amusing some people and making others want to stab us. But there probably should have come a moment when we noticed we were doing nothing more heroic than flying by the seat of other people's pants. The lighting designer with his head in his hands, the musical director frowning his way through a half-written script with no page numbers, the way Tim Shaw can no longer talk without moving his arms like he's been attacked by invisible bees. I probably should have turned to Charlie and whispered, "Are we the baddies?" Which reminds me, I kept hearing this first year's name and it was annoying me. I knew he had something, but people wouldn't shut up. I was going to have to see for myself. We've hopped back to my second year. I'm in a little performance venue called the Playroom to watch a 1-hour non-Footlights review called Go to Work on an Egg. A bunch of mates from Peterhouse and Jesus College have cobbled it together, apparently. Eddie had to put me in charge of smokers, and I've auditioned most of them. They're fine, but let's not get carried away. Except for one. As a first year, he was never going to be in the tour show, but he'd been asked to contribute material, and I'd written a sketch with him. The sketch was nothing special, but that wasn't unusual. It's just that we nearly made each other sick with laughter while writing it. That was both special and unusual. He's on stage as the lights come up. Come on then, young David Mitchell. Let's see what you've got. David Mitchell. Okay, I was wondering when we're going to get to David. I'm like, when is David going to make his appearance? Because like Mitchell and Webb, you know, I love that about British comedy, that they have like these partnerships so often. You know, like French and Saunders, Mitchell and Webb, Fry and Laurie. You know, like these people that you know are so closely entwined and work together on so many things. Another example would be like Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mail, you know. But yeah, David Mitchell, his other half. David Mitchell and Robert Webb. Oh, I see. You've got everything. I spend the hour enjoying the sketches without once taking my eyes off David. He's very funny, which helps. But I've seen other funny student performers. This is different. He's completely committed, but entirely natural. He can afford to seem generous to the other performers because he's going to get your attention just by standing still. It's a precious combination of ease and focus that I conceitedly think reminds me of me. He looks like he lives there. It's an exciting but worrying churn of events. What am I going to do about this? In my head, I hear a version of a conversation I know off by heart from The Empire Strikes Back. Emperor, there is a great disturbance in the funny. Vader, I have felt it, my master. Emperor, we have a new enemy, David Mitchell. Vader, he's just a boy. Emperor, he could destroy us. The son of whoever his dad is must not get on the Footlights Committee. Pause. Vader, if he could be turned, he would be a powerful ally. Emperor thinks, yes, yes. He would be a great asset. Can it be done? Vader. He will do a 2-man late show at the ADC Theater with me next year, or die, my master. What do you mean, who? If you don't know, you better ask. How about that? How about you go look it up right now? If you don't know about the formidable names that I just mentioned. You don't know about Fry and Laurie. You don't know about Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. I mean, I don't know. You better ask Google. Ugh. At the end of my second year at the Edinburgh, I said Edinburgh. Is it Edinburgh? Edinburgh? It's spelled Edinburgh. How is it spelled? Am I like... Anyway, I'm doing the tour show, and David's an Apache play written by Charlie called Colin. I pop the question. I don't quite say join me, and together we can rule Footlights Galaxy as two blokes. But I do suggest we do a show. He's a polite young man from a minor public school, as well as a first year being asked out on a big comedy date by the next year's vice president. So I can't help hoping he'll look pleased. What he actually looks like is Charlie Bucket just after Willy Wonka offers him a chocolate factory. In Dick Whittington, David plays Andrew the cat, a fastidious cat who is also a recovering heroin addict. I'm Dick, of course, a fantastically rich and spoilt child who yearns to leave his privileged background and go to London to work in local government. He and Andrew team up with Mr. Miyagi, who is played by Matthew Holness, the brilliant future Garth Marenghi. The inclusion of Mr. Miyagi is due mainly to Charlie's joyful obsession with Pat Morita's performance in The Karate Kid. At various stages in the show, Mr. Miyagi defeats his enemies by doing karate on them very slowly. This sounds problematic as hell. Matt, okay, well, if you know about Stephen Fry, he and Hugh Laurie were comedy partners, and they did like a lot of work together. I think they still do things together on sometimes, but like Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie have this running program called a bit of Fry and Laurie, where they do like sketch comedy. It's really common with like English sketch comedy for these comedy partnerships to form and for like the comedians to work very closely together. And like David is Robert's other half in that. You know, they have the Mitchell and Webb effect, the Mitchell and Webb look. They did Peep Show together. They've done a lot of movies together. They did another series called like, what was it, Diplomats? I don't think we'll need to buy tickets together. There's never I don't know. Ugh, getting texted about I'm gonna have a busy weekend, y'all. I'm booked. I'm booked tomorrow and I'm booked on Sunday. Wish me luck. And who knows? Maybe I'll have some time for YouTube. Get through this dang book. All right. Matt has a reasonable concern about playing a character of East Asian heritage, and I tried to tell him that the Californian Pat Morita is no more from Okinawa than Nat is. He doesn't really buy that, so then I say that it's a parody of a Hollywood take on Japanese people and that he should probably relax. He does not relax. Finally, I tell him it's fine because in a later scene, which maybe he hasn't had a chance to read yet, this is a fair bet because I'm making it up as I speak. Mr. Miyagi will become the victim of racist banter from a Northern Club comic played by Tristram Hunt. Therefore, we won't care that we've got a white person playing the fictional character of the fictional Mr. Miyagi because the joke will be about racism and not about funny foreigners. Matt doesn't really believe a word he's hearing but goes along with it. He appreciates that I'm making an effort, probably because he's heard that I can be a bit difficult, a bit minty. He's right. First, a brief word about cunts. Now, pardon my language, but he brought this up earlier. This word for the female genital arrangement, the female genital arrangement, is one which some people find unusually challenging for political reasons, rather than the usual ones to do with good taste. Or rather, so the reasoning goes, the C word is unusually powerful because the culture finds vaginas unusually distasteful. Therefore, its use is misogynistic and a feminist no-no. I have some sympathy for this view, and the one and only time I got to work with Rick Mail, he gave me an affectionate telling off for ignoring it. I had the word in reference to the channel controller who had canceled Bottom. Rick. So Bottom was a show that Rick was in. It's a terrible show. It's terrible. Like Rick and Adrian Edmondson are in it. It's so dumb. It's like the most dumb, infantile, stupid humor. I mean, I've watched a fair bit of it. It's like, yeah, it's very teenage, but they're like, you know, middle-aged men acting in very like boyish ways. It's a lot of physical humor, though. They did a lot of physical humor. So they're doing a lot of silly things and behaving very badly and always trying to get off with someone, you know, and failing miserably at it, you know, very good stuff. Rick, one of the 1980s pioneers of non-sexist comedy, corrected his idol student. No, no, darling. Cunts are lovely. Cunts are wonderful things. She wasn't a cunt. She was a spoonful of the devil's cum. Oof. And you know what? Rick was part of like this. There was this period in the 80s where this type of humor became very popular. It was meant to be like non-sexist humor because sexist humor was very popular in like the 70s, and they were called like alternative comedy, and the young ones were a big part of that. So Rick Mail came out of that period, but I wouldn't say, I mean, there was a lot of sexist stuff in Bottom, definitely in the New Statesman, which is brilliant. I highly recommend checking out the New Statesman if you haven't seen it. It's about a fictional Tory politician and it spanned over many years. So they have him like in the 80s as like a Thatcherite, just, you know, horrible, like the worst kind of stereotypes about a conservative MP that you could possibly have. But it's hilarious at the same time. And then in the 90s, they did some series where he changes his tune and he becomes part of New Labor and gets in with the New Labor, like Tony Blair government. So it's humorous, very funny, and Rick Mail plays it off brilliantly. I do And obviously The Young Ones is one of my favorite programs, comedies of all time, just very rambunctious and, anarchic. But y'all, I love my British comedy, which is why we're reading this book. While I agree with my late hero, and yes, Rick Mail is no longer with us, rest in peace. I was devastated when he died, honestly. Like, I had some friends that were fans too, and we were all like, oh man, Rick is gone. While I agree with my late hero that vaginas themselves are indeed lovely, I've never quite been able to ban myself from using the word altogether, provided I'm in the company of other men and women who use it all the time. Within my peer group, which inevitably includes a lot of actors, the usage is almost playful and has come to imply a fairly specific kind of arrogance and narcissism. Anyway, Caitlin Moran, Jermaine Greer, and my wife all say it's okay, and that's good enough for me. Okay, Jermaine Greer is like one of my favorite feminist writers, thinkers. I think mainly because she is so like independent. She never really was, even though she was like part of women's liberation, she kind of was set apart. She was very much an individual. I don't know if it's her Australianness about it. So she never, even though she was very big in like America and England, she never really fit in entirely. But I've just loved her through her career. She's a very fascinating, unique individual, which I admire. And I've enjoyed a lot of her writing, actually. I like how she approaches womanhood and talking about womanhood, and I like the kind of things she brings up. I don't always agree with her about everything, but she's definitely very thought-provoking and challenging, and also like writes about things that other people don't, or she notices things that other people don't. So I'm a big fan of Jermaine Greer. Caitlin Moran, I've never read any of her work. I felt like, never really was into her. Jermaine Greer also got canceled big time. Like she's been, she was like pretty much, she had a big canceling. Like they pretty much trotted her out on like media, and they were like making, it is all over the trans stuff as well. It was all over the trans cult a few years back. She was, basically, she's been against the trans cult for years. She wrote about it in like her book, The Whole Woman, which was a follow-up to her like groundbreaking work, The Female Eunuch. And I love that book too. The Female Eunuch was brilliant. There's a lot in that book that I think is really relevant. But The Whole Woman was good too. But she had a whole chapter in The Whole Woman, and like the early 2000s, where she wrote about transsexualism and how, misogynistic it is and how degrading it is to women, that this practice be accepted, and how, what it says about the status of women. And also she made it very clear, like, men aren't women in that book. She made it very clear. I do not think men are women. Go figure. But yeah, she got canceled big time, like not very long ago. It's probably like 2016, between 2016, 2018, I can't really remember. But she was getting all kinds of flack. And then they had her on like the news in England. She was living in England at the time. And yeah, they really went for her. And it was so uncomfortable. I remember watching this interview, and they were asking her to respond to like this Sam Smith music video and I don't like Sam Smith, obviously. His music sucks. He sucks. Pretentious twat, if I've ever seen one. But in this video, apparently they had this like female to male transgendered person strip down naked and like walk through the town and city and just like, take abuse off. This person is like female bodied person, mind you, who's transgendered, walking naked through the streets, and people are like disgusted and violent and just hateful to this person. I mean, yeah, brilliant video, right? And they asked her to respond to it, and she's like, what do you mean? They're like, is what happens to this person in this video okay? And she's like, if anybody gets naked, if any female person, if I got naked right now and walked down the street, people would stop me. Like, this isn't something that, you would just, it's not even relevant because it's not something that would even happen. Like, hello, like, you're not going to have a naked female walking down the street for very long because somebody's going to run after her with a blanket, and then call the cops because it's crazy and nobody has any business being naked in public. And also it's just like the vulnerability of it. But yeah, apparently, yeah. Man, shout out to Jermaine Greer. She also got glitter bombed a couple of times from like the queers, because of her being against the transsexual cult. So and I like that he brings up her in this. And I guess she said it was okay for him to use the C word. So there's an old adage which actors repeat to themselves whenever they start a new job. Have a look at the people around you, and after the first week, if you can't tell who the cunt is, it's probably you. Okay. Rehearsing Dick Whittington. I don't even bother looking around. I already know. It's like I'm on a mission. It's like I'm starring in the movie Mission, C word. I'm keen for everyone to know that in the words of Sammy Davis Jr.'s, I ain't the boy next door. Unfortunately, the way I mean to make this point is by A, acting better than everyone else, and B, acting like a C word. I don't like how much he swears in this book. I have to say, I can read some swears, but it gets draining to say the C word over and over again. I don't want to do it. I don't want to say it again and again. It will be some time before I realize that in acting, as in many jobs, you get better results when you collaborate instead of compete. And B, given the choice, only C words prefer to compete. The script is hopelessly late and far too long. In rehearsal, the increasingly frantic Tim Shaw reads out a long list of cuts that are necessary to make the show the length of the pantomime as opposed to the length of a ring cycle. Everyone else has their script out, crossing out the excised lines. Since I've given myself title role, a presence in nearly every scene, a 5-minute monologue, and a couple of songs, these cuts are probably going to affect me, so I should probably also have a script and a pencil at the ready. Instead, I just sit in the middle of the room in my 94 summer tour t-shirt. No one else has one of these, so this is a risible assertion of its seniority, and pout at the ceiling. When we get to rehearsing, I start doing my lines, including the ones that have just been cut. The director and the other actors say, actually, that's just been cut. And then I frown at the script and say, oh, has that been cut? I like that bit. Why would you cut that? While staring at Tim with disingenuous confusion. Essentially, for the whole rehearsal process of that show, I give an uninterrupted masterclass in minty, and I'll read it this time, cuntiness. Or possibly cunty mintiness. This light, y'all, what the heck am I looking like? Why is it so bright? Can't ever seem to get it right. Get it off of me a little bit. That's better. That's more normal looking. It's not blinding me. Well, not that I was blinded, but my skin was shining bright there, huh, y'all? Okay. I still thought that talent was more important than practice and did so without noticing that I was using my talent as a suit of armor rather than as something to be put at the service of a team. I didn't even notice that acting was a team sport. Why would I? I hate sport and teams. I was the best. Other people needed to deal with it. Inappropriate competitiveness is not an exclusively male trait, and neither is swaggering around like a bell end. But we seem to have made both behaviors sufficiently our own that women behaving with equivalent awfulness will have her femininity called into question. There is, of course, nothing wrong with wanting to win if what you're involved in is an actual competition. A game of darts, for example, is a competition. But acting doesn't have to be like that, and neither does a lot of other work. On the desolate occasions I found myself watching The Apprentice, it's notable that these people are not competing to be the best business person, but the biggest wanker. The interaction between the men and women, sorry, that should be the boys and the girls, is especially surreal, given that masculinity adds up to little more than the pursuit of not being a woman, not walking like this, not talking like that. It's bizarre to watch the girls acting out a version of it in order to compete. You have to pretend to be someone who is furiously insisting that they are not you. Women entering this arena are the ghosts at the circle jerk. All the most harmful and self-harming aspects of masculinity are busily performed. The need to dominate others, the weaselly interest in hierarchy, the confusion between cruelty and strength, an impatience with nuance, and the moronic idea that inflexibility is a virtue. We're not talking about women trying to be men. We're talking about women and men trying to be arseholes, because that's what they think you're supposed to be like at work. There's a lot of it about. Into this, Clara arrives at Robinson and gives me a hug at the door, just a bit too long and just a bit too tight. Upstairs, she tells me that she's had a fling with a lighting technician called Tony. Tony the techie, I call him, with a deathless wit of a jilted boyfriend. Clara also says that she doesn't understand how she could be ending our relationship when we don't really have a relationship. I've heard this one before, the classic, how could I have just thrown your lovely pudding in the bin when there is no lovely pudding gambit? But I don't get angry, not yet. I just tell her this means that I'm going back into counseling. I expect that she must understand that she has made this necessary. I'm glad that she's coming to see the show tonight, but naturally she has made it very difficult for me to do my important job. She takes it right on the chin. If I were her, I'd get straight back on the train to London, but she's old school. She stays. Well, I don't have a counselor, so I'm just going to hang around weeping in bookshops until the show. Hope you're in the bar afterwards, though. Hello, Danny P. Welcome to the chat. It's a 2-week run, and that night is the first Saturday. It's not my place to say that I'm very good at it, but let's assume for the sake of argument that I massively rock. At the end, as I leave the stage and walk past the rest of the cast in the wings, they hear me say over the din of our applause, "It's not enough." Dame Fauntleroy is highly displeased. Clara has been to the bookshop. It's 1994, so she's bought another novel where the main characters can suddenly levitate. She's complimentary about the show, but obviously it doesn't change a damn thing. I should have got on the train more often. We've blown it. Back at the room, she says, "Now then, am I sleeping on the floor or in that cupboard, or whereabouts exactly?" I say, "You can sleep with me if you like. I promise to keep my pants on." She says, "Oh, shush." In the morning, after a really wonderful night of no sleep and no sex, I make to get up, but first say, "Tell me this isn't the last time I get out of a bed that's got you in it." This isn't the last time you get out of a bed that's got me in it. It is, of course, and then she's gone. Robert Webb, not Robert Webber. Robert Webb. I don't even have my banner going. Y'all, I missed it last time too. I'm terrible. Why would I do that? Why would I do that to poor Robert? Here we go. Robert Webb. Webb, not Weber. He's a big beta. Come on, y'all. He's a male feminist. Have you heard him going on? So I do the thing that sensitive young men like me, whose sensitivity is entirely focused on themselves. Well, that's true, isn't it? Okay. I do the thing that sensitive young men like me do when they find themselves inconvenienced by a woman. They don't shout or lose their temper. Good gracious, no. That's what Dad would do. No, they just write her a 9-page letter which describes in forensic detail why she's out of her mind. And this is done in a genuine belief that once the girlfriend understands that she is just confused, dishonest, suffering from some weird kind of amnesia and completely wrong, why then she will gratefully fall back into the arms of this gentle prince and relationship bliss will resume. Clara receives the letter and stops returning my calls. I go into a miserable sulk of self-loathing because that's another thing a sensitive young man would do rather than say apologize. You know, it's interesting because this is like the third woman he's mentioned writing this kind of letter to. You know what I mean? This is the third time Robert has mentioned in this book that when he broke up with a girl or some girl didn't want him, that he wrote her a scathing like letter. I mean, I'm trying to think. Has anyone written me a scathing letter? Yeah, actually I have had that happen. No regrets. There again, once a sensitive young man belatedly understands that he's been dumped, it's only natural for him to start sensitively sleeping around. A whole 8 days later, the Panto cast party sees me trying to charm all the people I've variously ignored, patronized, or insulted over the previous few weeks. One of them is a very nice girl called Jenna. She beckons me over. Now, Rob, the thing is, I know, do you live nearby? Yes, get your coat. We run giggling out of the bar, snogged in the middle of the street, and then run, giggle, and snog all the way to her house. I'll draw a veil at this point, but something must have gone right because we went out with each other for the next 8 years. 8 years. Oh my God. Jenna is not his wife. He dated a woman for 8 years. I cannot with these women. I don't think there's any women watching right now, but don't do this. Do not go out with that. Don't date a guy for 8 years. 8 years. And these are like her prime youth, you know? Prime youth. Men have no problem doing this with women, though. They have no problem with wasting your time like that. They're like, oh, yeah, we dated for 8 years. And they're like, oh, yeah, it was great. We dated for 8 years. Mind you, 8 years in woman is not the same as 8 years in man. God. God. Robert. I cannot with Robert. Why is youth important, Terry? Well, I think you know the answer to that, Christ Conquers. I've seen you talking about it in chat. You know? No, that's quite a proposal, Galahad. I mean, what woman wouldn't be like so bowed over by such a romantic proposal? Do you really want that woman? Because that's not how you go about getting it. But she's one of those educated women with a career. Okay. You're not the prize, Galahad. You're supposed to be pursuing her. Why are you acting like... I mean, why would she want to marry you after saying something like that? I mean, did you say it in those words? Because I'd be like, okay, that's something that I would put in the back of my head, like, okay. And I'd be like planning my exit. I mean exactly what I said, Galahad. If you don't understand that, maybe yeah, maybe you better figure that out. All right, let's see. 8 years. Ugh. The Bible told me that, Galahad. It's in Proverbs. What I could really do with at this point is someone who isn't going to dump me and isn't going to die. Jenna does an excellent job of both, and as luck would have it, she's also funny and gorgeous. Still, I don't make it easy for her, at least not in the beginning. Little Lord Rebound is God. How do you, like, you're on the rebound, but you end up with dating a chick for 8 years? That's your rebound? Little Lord Rebound is going to make her feel romantically shortchanged, and as far as lovingly expressed sentiments go, she will wait for some time for an improvement on Get Your Coat. She doesn't see me gazing at her across the room the way Colin Firth gazes at Jennifer Eel in Pride and Prejudice. I don't know how to say her name, and I can picture the actress, but I don't know how her name is pronounced. And it will be a good 4 months into the relationship before she suggests I might want to take down the A4 show poster featuring Clara's face from my bedroom wall. When's it going to get romantic is the half-joking catchphrase. I mean, this is really her. I mean, she shouldn't have, even. And, shame on her, really, as well, for wasting her time. We spend our first St. Valentine's evening making up the silly cast biographies for the program of the spring review. Fun but not romantic. If we go to a restaurant, we split the bill. Fair but not romantic. That's not fair. There is nothing fair about that. There is nothing fair about splitting the bill. One of the happiest days we spent together in a London park when we find out she is not, despite this catastrophic condom malfunction, pregnant. A massive relief, but definitely not romantic. I love her, and I love the way my name has changed into Robin Jenna, but it never quite gets romantic, not the way it's supposed to. This is where the diary fizzles out because I'm too happy to bother with it anymore. But somehow I already know that if I say that to Jenna, presenting it as a massive compliment, she's going to be distinctly unimpressed. Hey, you single-handedly turned me from a suicidally lonely and miserable bastard into a complacently content bastard. I can't believe the amount of emotional vampirism that he is displaying. You know what I mean? Well, if you're a legit womanizer, then you're definitely not the prize. Ugh. Ugh. Nobody wants community pee-pee? Come on, dude. No, I'm not referring to Proverbs 31. The passage is a man who finds a wife, finds a good thing, and obtains favor from the Lord. I know he's a beta male, but this is really common too. It's really common. He makes women his God. It's so clear. He makes women his God. And it's gross. And it's just gross to read it. It's ugh. You've single-handedly turned me from a suicidally lonely and miserable bastard into a complacently content bastard. That's a hell of a thing, isn't it? Actually, it is a hell of a thing. But it's also not Colin Firth with a bunch of flowers and 2 tickets for the Orient Express. I mean, the amount of emotional, and so many men do this, and this is a big part of why women are so drained in relationships a lot of the time. And you see it, especially for the women who take on the mommy role, It just sucks them dry. And then you have kids with this guy on top of it, and like they just like it ages you so much. Like having kids ages you a ton, but then like to have like a man child on top of it, ugh, ugh, it's awful. Do you need you a what? Well, I mean, God will put someone in front of you if you're meant to have one. I don't know. I think, yeah. Or the devil will. I've heard that, Zenny. I've heard that. I've heard that too, especially women who have kids after 40, like live longer too. Hey. I mean, yeah, my mom is still going pretty strong and she had kids pretty late. So who knows? I mean, it makes sense. Just like today, they were talking on one of the shows, I don't remember which one, but about how, like grandparents who are involved with child rearing live longer. And it's like, well, no, duh. You have somebody that like is relying on you, So of course you're going to live longer. I mean, statistically speaking, you're eating watermelon. I haven't had watermelon in a while. I'd love to have some watermelon. I have been craving melon lately, but I went and bought a bunch of plums again this time round. I don't know. I kind of want to go into the shop and actually pick out a melon. I don't really like relying on them they just grab whatever melon is there. I'd rather like pick it up and, slap it about. Okay. She's aware of her own conditioning and it pisses her off. She knows she's been sold a dummy about being swept off her feet by Mr. Darcy and is annoyed with herself for slightly wanting it anyway. I mean, I don't think it's like, I mean, yeah, like he's not, God. I don't know. I'm kind of a romantic person. I mean, not completely, but like I do expect a little bit of effort myself. So a guy who doesn't make any effort, and like I wouldn't entertain this situation at all. I wouldn't be in this situation. Like it just wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like I was just reading about this. I'm like this wouldn't be me. I don't conduct myself this way, so I wouldn't be in this situation. Okay. Thank God I've never been one of those blokes who steers his partner around in public with a hand on the small of her back. I don't like when guys do that either. I mean, what the hell are they doing? I did date a guy when I was young who did that. I did not like being touched that way. It bothered me, honestly. And he was controlling in other ways too. Like, we dated for a few months. We were friends for a number of years before we dated too. And it was like really strange to me that this person I had like this established relationship with, once we started like dating, started acting this way towards me. It like made me really uncomfortable as well. Ugh, like, I don't know. I don't wonder, like, are there women who like that? But for me, I do like it when a man like lovingly touches me, but it didn't feel loving. It felt controlling and weird and like, I don't really want to get into it, Galahad, but he would like just, react to me poorly or like tell me off for things that he thought I was doing that I wasn't even doing. He would be very like, I didn't like the way it felt. That isn't true, Christ Conquerors. If I liked a guy and he started acting the way this guy did, I would stop liking him. I liked him quite a bit, actually. Like I said, we were friends for a number of years. And then like when we started dating, this like demonic side of him came out that I didn't like. Like, what the hell? Like, what are you even saying? I didn't like him, plain and simple. It wasn't friend zone. Like, he wasn't friend zoned. We didn't. It's none of your business. I'm not even going to get into it. I just didn't like the way that I was being treated anyway. And it's all for the best. I didn't want to live in Alaska anyway. No, but you are the guy saying some nonsense to me in my chat. I've never looked at a guy and felt that way, Galahad. I've never, that's something that you grow into. It's not something that I have ever instantly felt looking at someone. I've never looked at anyone and thought like that immediately. I'm not like that. I'm not, it's something that grows over time. I mean, I become attracted to someone. It's not something immediate like that. But yeah, I mean, regardless, I'm not like that. I'm not into that. Especially when I was younger, I was not submissive at all when I was younger. Okay. Like, not at all. I wasn't about to be treated that way when I was younger. I was like, oh, hell no. And even now, like, when I think about it, when I just remember how it felt, like, yeah, I remember he grabbed me like one time too. It was so stupid. I was wearing like a band t-shirt. Okay. Like, I was wearing a band t-shirt, and like, we went out to eat with his friend, and like, his friend was like, oh, is that a band? And I was like, yeah. And then I giggled, because I was just like, whatever. I felt awkward because he hadn't heard of the band. And then like a moment later, the guy I'm dating, he's like, hey, like, I need to talk to you. And he like grabs me, like, and like kind of pulls me a bit. Like, he grabs my arm in this way that's like just weird. Like, it felt violent, honestly. It just felt like, why is he grabbing me like this? And he's like, this guy is a nerd. Like, you don't need to be, like, you're being like, he's not like into the stuff you are. No. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is this coming from? Like, not only like, hell no. I was just like, after that, like, I was like done. It creeped me out. Oh, he was a total beta, but he was trying to be he was like trying to be dominant, like, as at the same time. He wanted to be dominant, but I mean, that's often the case. Like, a lot of these guys that act like they're alphas online, like a lot of these male podcasters, guys with mics and stuff, they act like they're, but like, they have to use violence to control, or they have to use intimidation, or they have to get a woman who's like totally submissive just because she's dumb and doesn't have any like other option. Like, really, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving him another can. He's not getting another can. Hell no. Anyway, like, that guy ended up having a stroke like a couple of years later, because it's like, I loved him. Like, that was hard. That was a hard one. I still think about him sometimes because we were friends, and it was like, it felt so natural when we started dating. It felt like good, and then it like got so bad, and then it was just like, man, you ain't going outside. That's what I thought. Yeah, he had a stroke, dude. And he was in his early 20s. Square jawed, 6-foot Chad. I mean, I don't really care much about a guy's height, to be honest. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know what became of him. We lost contact and touch, but I hope he's doing well. I hope he got over his issues. He had issues too. He had some serious issues. Like, so I don't like, all is forgiven. It was weird. I'm glad it didn't work out. It wasn't going to work out anyway. But like, I still, because we were friends, like, and not just because we were friends. I feel that way about like anybody I've kind of dated. I just wish them well. I got love for them. He had a stroke. I know. I think he had a stroke because he ate so much. Like, I think he was stressed out in general, and he ate like a lot of like he wasn't fat at all, but his diet mainly consisted of fast food. So I think that's why he had a stroke. He ate like hella McDonald's. And I didn't eat that. No, he was not fat. He wasn't fat. He wasn't fat, but he subsisted off of junk food. So I think he had a stroke just because like there was so much sodium and like just junk, just total like, yeah, I think his diet, like he got like, he wasn't fat. He was strong. He was, I wouldn't say he was like the fittest guy, but he got so when I talked to him after he had the stroke, man, he was just emaciated. Yeah, it's probably all the like fast food. I hope he's doing well. I hope that I didn't traumatize him too much with my, youthful and, my craziness. Anyway, enough reminiscing about like my teenage dating years. Okay, let's see. Would it be better if she wore a dress with an actual handle? But there's definitely something uxorious, another word I'm not familiar with, and protective in my manner towards Jenna. I've gone from preening one-man show to affable husband without having to go through the whole bloody Romeo thing again. It's like I've suddenly noticed how Romeo ends up, and I don't like the look of it. One night, that protectiveness I've mentioned pops up in a fairly dramatic way. The venue for this everyday story of sexual harassment and ham-fisted melodrama is appropriately enough the bar of the amateur dramatic club theater. What are you talking about, Yoda? I don't remember dodging your comment. You said something about like a 6-foot Chad with like a square jaw. Yeah, and I can't believe that you think that you're the prize, Galahad. No, I don't have any more thoughts, Yoda. We've already talked about that. We've hashed it out. We have hashed it out. Maybe you can talk about Court and his tongue. You haven't even given him a shout out. Women, Galahad. I've already said it. And it's just obvious. I mean, not everyone is. I would say not everyone is. There are situations where the man is. There's definitely relationships where the man is. But yeah, that's not a relationship that I'd want to be in. So Well, that sounds like you're the slave then and we're the prize, Galahad. Although, is that what's happening in your relationship that you mentioned? Are you providing and handling everything for your woman? I don't know. Sounds like the one that's getting taken care of is the one that's the prize. Now, there are a lot of men out here who think they're the prize and think that women should take care of them. But no. Okay, let's get back into the book. Back into Robert's mess. It's our last year at Cambridge, and towards the end, Jenna is playing Mistress Quickly in a May week production of Henry IV, Part 1. The poster features her showing a bit of barmaid cleavage, which is fine by her. However, one night in the bar, a student called Terrence Keble starts making posh, insulting noises about whether Jenna's breasts have been digitally enhanced. He's leader of the Student Conservative Association. What baby? What baby? My little one. Hey, little dude. What's up? You mad at me? You mad at me? You mad at me? You mad at me? What, you mad at me? Galahad, I will not take your advice. Okay? Period. Don't bring it to me. Hi, baby. Come here. You want some lap? Get on this lap. My sweetie, you don't want no lap. What you want? You're not going outside. You ain't going outside. You ain't going outside. Ain't no way, no how, no sir. You don't have nobody has my best interest in mind more than me, dude. You're just some random guy I just met on the internet. You don't have my best interest in mind. I mean, if a woman I agree with you that a woman should treat her husband like that. I agree that a wife should treat her husband like she feels that way about him. But still, I'm just talking about what I see. Okay. Okay, so yeah, he's leader of the Student Conservative Association, which doesn't exactly endear him to me. And having started a huge row, he walks across the room to rip the poster down, the better to compare Jenna's breasts to those on the poster. He then, for some demented reason of his own, picks up Jenna's bag and starts rifling through her stuff. Whoa. I impress upon him at some volume and not a little perturbation that these are the actions of an effing C-word sucker. An effing C-word sucker. Okay, Galahad, stop. I mean, honestly, you keep going with this BS. We've moved on past it. I'm not going to agree with you. I don't want to hear your opinion. And don't pretend that you have my interest in mind more than I do. Okay? I mean, really. You're a weird one. You done creeped me out the first time I ever interacted with you. You've been creepy all week, and now you're being weird. Back off. Know your place. Hi, sweetie. What? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, break time. Honey, I'm almost done. I'm almost done with the reading. Why you? Why? Why you? Don't you want me to get through it? It's not that late. It's only 9. It's only 9. Why are you so mad at me? No. I'll be done soon and then we can go to bed. It'll be fine. He's mad at me. You know, I've had plenty of bad advice from like men who I don't like care about the opinions of. Like that's what happens in chat all the time. Like, okay, you gave me some advice. Do you think you're like the first guy whose advice I wouldn't take that's given me advice? I don't know. I don't take advice from chat generally. That was nice of you, Yoda. That's right. I do remember that. But Galahad's a newbie. He doesn't know about that. You got him. Isn't Yoda like what a gentleman? He came in and rescued me with the D's nuts. You got him. I know, sweetie. I know. I think he's mad too because I'm not running the air conditioning. It was a weird day. Yeah, shout out to Tar Baby Yoda. He's a real one. Mostly a good time, always problematic. But not always problematic. Probably problematic about 80% of the time. I know they wouldn't. I know. God, I know if Galahad would be like, although this one doesn't work as good. I have this wooden fan. My bamboo fan, it's starting to come apart. I need to get another like wooden fan like that, just because it's like it gets very compact. So I could slip it into almost any purse. This one, when I take it out, and I'm definitely going to need it tomorrow because I'm going to be outside. I'm volunteering tomorrow for like my church's welcome center, but it's going to be outside, not in the building, because we're having a block party, y'all. And I took the later shift too of like doing that. So I'm going to be outside for a couple of hours at least. And I want to get to the block party before then too, just to like mingle. And I think there's going to be food. So I'll probably have lunch there. It's going to be interesting. You did? You got Gregatron today? Congratulations. Hey, good one, Yoda. You got Gregatron? Is he the black fake? Yeah, I think it's going to be a warm fall. I don't know. It's been kind of cold though too. I went out in the morning today to get coffee, and I ended up getting like a hot latte because it was so cold. There was like cold winds coming upon me. It was really beautiful out though too. It was sunny, and I felt young and alive, you know. But then I hit something when I was coming back, and it kind of like jerked my scooter. So then I was kind of rocked, but I was okay. It didn't do anything like to me or the scooter, but I was like, what? I didn't see it like at all. It was like some sort of piece of wood that was in the street. My latte was good though, y'all. Got me a coconut cream latte. from Cafe Umbria. That was nice. A little bit of whiplash. A little bit of whiplash to start my day. You mad at me? Don't be mad at me. Oh, he mad at me. Okay, let's get back to this beta talking about his nonsense. So he's going to fight for his woman. I mean, this guy is like, sounds awful, rifling through her stuff. Like, just, ugh. I was crossing the street. I was like crossing the street at the intersection. I didn't see it. I'm like, yeah. And you know, it's like in the morning there's like weirdos out too. Like it's not, I mean, there's weirdos out all day, but like, yeah, I just like to get, you know, about my business quickly when I'm out in the morning. Not, I mean, not always. Sometimes it's, but there was a weirdo. There was a guy that was like particularly odd looking. So anyway, I impress upon him at some volume and not a little perturbation that these are the actions of an effing seaboard sucker, and suggest to him with equal warmth that he should return the bag, which he then does. Everyone, including Jenna and about 10 angry friends, give him a brief but robust outline of what they find lacking in his moral character. The poster goes back on the wall and things calm down for a while. But then, just as he's leaving, Keble gives a visibly upset Jenna what I can only describe as a leer and opens his mouth to say something guaranteed to be insufferable. That's when I try to hit him. You've always got more choice than you think. From this one and only experience of actually attacking someone, I can report that, although the cliches about red mist and blind rage have some truth to them, I also know that I definitely didn't have to do it. I did it anyway, or at least tried to, and I won't forget the look of astonishment on Keble's pink face as Dick Whittington came at him with a clenched fist and a look of murder. My friend Jack instantly put himself in the way, which was lucky for Keble's face and my puny wrist. Jack's a big chap, and he didn't get within 2 yards of Mr. Titty Stare. Instead, he was bundled out of the fire escape by the bar manager and did some shouting about how I had an effing problem. And I shouted back that, no, indeed, on the contrary, it was he who had an effing problem. The Ciceronian exchange concluded. Jack put me down and Jenna tried to cheer me up by saying I probably shouldn't have done that, but she was secretly quite pleased that I did. Who's Jack? No, Jack just, I guess. Like it sounds like he was a little bit, they weren't next to each other. So it sounds like he was charging at him with his fist, you know, like he was going to punch him. And then his much bigger, stronger friend kind of got in the way and stopped him. And then the bar manager grabbed the other guy and got him out. So he didn't even like attack him. No, indeed, on the contrary. The British talk like that. The British talk like that. That's how they talk. So he almost got into a fight for his woman's honor. This woman that he wasted 8 years of her youth dating. And he didn't feel romantically about. Yoda, did you miss the part where he was like, no, you must have missed it. Oh, well. And I really did need cheering up, because what was the point of it all if it turns out I'm just this normal bloke? I didn't need to be at Cambridge to get pissed up on a Saturday night and lamp a Tory. I could have done that at Coningsby Community Center. But the real problem was that this was my low opinion of normal blokes. I thought normal blokes were violent as well as sexist. For 3 years, I'd surrounded myself with men who, like me, had never been in a fight in their lives, and who were also doing their best to see women as part of a universal whole of humanity rather than some quirky subset. Yeah, it sounds like he was seeing women as a universal whole of humanity and not slut making his butt off. Hey, Batman, you love the live stream? Thanks. Be sure to like the video. Despite that, I still insisted I was different. I still had to be the leading anti-dad. Again, he's still rebelling against his father. It is perfectly clear to me that if I decked Terrence Kebble and we both ended up in casualty, and if Dr. Jizzcake had found out that a sufficient cause to send me down in disgrace, my explanation to Dad would have quietly delighted him. He'd have been sorry for me too, of course, but also delighted. His interpretation wouldn't have been that I got into a fight in defense of an anti-chauvinist principle. It would be that I got into a fight because I didn't like the way another bloke was looking at my girlfriend's tits. And he'd have been dead right. That's what bothered me. Well, like, why would, is this some sort of sexist thing to, like, be okay with, or, like, to not be okay with another man ogling your woman and, like, making comments about her breasts and, like, messing with her? Like, is that like chauvinistic? I didn't think that was. That's just normal, right? That's normal. Robert has a messed up head. Like his mom and dad's divorce really did a number on him. You know what I mean? I find it really interesting that I'm reading this book because he's just such a clear specimen of how, like, he identified with his mother, he took on her nature, took on her identity, and he hated his father, even though he secretly yearned for his father and wanted his father and, like, and needed his father. He had this understanding of his father as this, like, violent menace. And his earliest memories, his dad was pretty scary. So it's understandable that, anyway, this happens to so many men. It's like, this book is a great example, and he really spells it out how, like, men become beta. Right, price conquerors, because that's the other thing too. Like, a lot of these guys, especially the ones that get into feminism, they have, like, a lot of it is just misplaced chivalry. It's misplaced chivalry. That's all it is. It's misplaced chauvinism. It's like a different kind of chauvinism, but they, like, what they do and how they go about it, their approach to it, it doesn't help women in any sense. It's not really, like, and obviously in his conduct, how is he different than any other chauvinist? I mean, he's out here slut making. He's abusive to women that, like, reject him. It's just, it is interesting. Like, I've found this book interesting and enlightening, and I do appreciate his candidness, although I don't like all the swearing. And I don't like, a lot of the content but I mean, it's psychologically been interesting to me to read this and, like, think about it from this perspective and to see so clearly, like, what's going on. As finals approach, I start to think about the exam questions that I'd actually be able to answer. I'm hoping for something like, 1. Describe as loosely as possible what happens in the first 2 pages of Moby Dick. 2. Is it called Prince Lear or King Lear? Feel free to draw a picture if that's easier. 3. What would be an ideal way to stage a play Arse Bandits in the round? You won't be marked down for spelling mistakes, but in case you're unsure, it's proscenium. Although the answer, just do it in the theater with a proscenium arch, is the wrong answer. Jenna has somehow got a telly and VCR in her room, and Jack, and I spend a lot of time there working very hard for the tragedy paper we're all taking by watching videos of Macbeth, Iphigenia in Alice. I'm not familiar with this. Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. Three of us are also in an unthinkably close to exams production of Bedroom Farce, along with David and a few others. And I also do the two-man show with David. Oh yes, and I'm in the Footlights tour show again. It's almost as if I'm in denial. I'm pretty sure I'm handling this exam pressure brilliantly by pretending to feel no such thing. Man, here he is again. Like, my body, on the other hand, knows otherwise, which is probably why one day as I get up from my desk, the floor leaps up and smacks me on the side of the head. My heart is beating, itself stupid, and the silence is roaring in my ears like a Vulcan bomber landing in my brain. I crawl over to the bed and lie still, wondering if I'm about to die. After a few seconds of careful breathing, everything returns to normal. Later that day, Jack tells me that this experience has a name, a panic attack. Now he's having panic attacks, y'all. Jesus, get a grip, Robert. Oh, right, that's what that means then. I thought it was just a colorful way of saying you're a bit stressed out. Well, if it appears that I'm more worried than I thought I was about being hopelessly unprepared, then the solution is obvious. I go to Jenna's and we watch The Princess Bride. My exam strategy, if you can call it that, turns out to be waiting until I've got an exam tomorrow morning, going to the library to find a collection of essays on the relevant period, trying to memorize about 4 of them overnight, and then going to the exam. At that point, I find the questions with least total irrelevance to the essays in my head, and write a sleazy opening paragraph explaining why the two things actually fit together quite nicely. I then spew out the pre-written essay, being careful not to include any of the better or more memorable phrases so the outrageous thievery doesn't stick out any more than it needs to. After all, for all I know, the repurposed essays will be marked by one of the academics who wrote them. Yes, it occurs to me that this is a wretched business and an appalling waste. The panic attack was probably inspired as much by guilt as by anxiety. But I suppose I'm at least consistent. I didn't come here to get an excellent degree. I came here to meet someone like David Mitchell. As it turned out, I met their actual David Mitchell, which was even better. I wander slowly down Burrell's Walk on the way to the Senate House, where my results will be posted up on the notice board. I'm telling myself not to worry. The 11 plus mattered. A-levels mattered. This won't matter. Still, I have some memory of academic pride, at least with English. And as I look at the board and see that I'm leaving a university with a 2-2, I feel a wave of disappointment. It's an outrageous reaction given what I failed to do, but there we are. The feeling is I used to be good at this stuff, and now I'm an official mediocrity. It takes all 3 seconds for this nonsense to be replaced by profound relief and gratitude. I deserve to fail altogether. This is so jammy they could make me Lord Fluky of Jam, the bon maman professeur of spreadable berries at Robertson's College, Strawbridge. Mark, Andrew, and Dad come to the graduation. The families in the Senate House are specifically asked not to take photographs during the ceremony, which means that Dad, Mark, and Andrew all wait until I've seen them before dicking about with cameras, pretending they're about to take a picture. Sometimes I really like men, especially these men. There's some milling around on the lawn outside, and Dad has gone unusually quiet for a moment while I chat along with Mark and Andy. His eyes are quite red, and he hasn't even had a drink. Was your daddy crying, Robert? What did I miss? What did I miss? Why are y'all laughing? What did I miss? I don't know what I missed. I just missed it. But y'all having fun, I guess. Okay. As long as somebody's having fun, that's good. I'm glad I could facilitate your chat this evening. Presently, he says to me, I know you'd rather your mom was here, son, but for what it's worth, I'm very proud of you. He looks like he feels lucky to be invited. He's taking up someone else's place. That's when I forgive him, right there. At least that's what I believe in that moment. I mumble, nah, y'all all right, mate. I'm glad you came. I'm leaving home. I left years ago, but now it's official. I don't pretend to my family anymore that I want to work in computers. They've gradually absorbed the information that I seriously intend to share a flat in London and try to earn a living as a comedy actor and writer. I'm growing up in circles. One circle opened when I was 13 and began with the idea I want to be funny on TV, like in Home Sweet Home. That circle on my graduation day in 1995 is still moving along, lurking for its beginning, a sub-circle. I get to be funny on TV by going to Robinson College is just closing. Let's see, September 29th, 1990. Happy 18th birthday, Mr. Robert Webb. No, of course I don't feel any different. I can't believe the world now considers me an adult. It probably doesn't if it's got any sense. My party at the community last Friday was fucking ace. Everyone came. I mean, just the whole county practically. I picked my Cambridge college, Robinson. They want AAB, so I better bloody well pull my socks up. I've been letting things get me down too often about mum, and I should just try to cultivate a sense of inevitable good news. I should start just thinking and walking around like I know that Robinson will let me in and I know all the rest will come. Making a big splash in footlights, finding some funny people to work with. Edinburgh Festival, Radio 4, Channel 4, BBC 2, plays, novels, Hollywood. I mean, it's all ludicrous, but why not? Ambition is free. This is no time to put limits on it. I'm going to be bigger than John Cleese. He has not become bigger than John Cleese. Terry, always listen to you read. Calm down, princess. Oh my goodness. What is going on? What's wrong with the chat? It was a good plan. I'm not knocking the plan. And yes, I do know it looks freakish. And so I shall simply write down my life on the back of a postcard and then sort of do it. Well, most of it. I suspect John Cleese is quite safe from my bigness. The trouble is, it's not a life, is it? It's a job. A person as young as that can't be expected to know the difference between what he wants and what he needs. This one reckons that if you get the job right, the life will follow. It's not an uncommon view. If I said that heavily defining yourself by your work might not be a very good idea, then you might react like an American friend of mine. Worry less about the office. That sounds sensible, Matt said, although I have to say, he continued, I've had some pretty cool days at the office. I've had some pretty cool days at the office, too. I just thought they were cool for the wrong reasons. Let's go to the office. I'm fairly sure I can find it. All right. So that was chapter 11 and chapter 12. We are coming along in this book. I think we might have we've got 2 more chapters to get through. Looks like. And then we'll be done. That's pretty exciting. 2 chapters tonight. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, Yoda and Batman are fighting. This is exciting. A fight between Yoda and Batman. Wouldn't that be humorous to watch? Like Yoda from Star Wars and then Batman beefing. I know, and then we'll get to read some Gaddafi. Oh my, it's been fun. I've enjoyed these chats with the reading. Oh my, Yoda, you put a carrot, you didn't put an eggplant? Why not a shrimp if you wanted to be insulting? All right, press 1 if you're on Yoda, if you think Yoda would beat Batman's ass in a superhero fight. Press 2 if you're on Team Batman. Yeah, the Green Book. We're going to read the Green Book by Gaddafi. Yeah. Goodness. Well, that was fun. Oh, I suppose I should wind down. The cat was yelling at me. Oh, no, we need a vote. Come on, guys. 1 for Yoda, 2 for Batman. Why is no one voting? Come on. You take us all on. Yeah. I know there's like, yeah, all this testosterone in my chat. I can't believe it. What's going to happen? Where's Martha? Yeah, but Yoda could totally choke out Batman without touching him. Yoda doesn't even need like anything. He's just got the power of the Force. Like, I don't know. This is exciting. Who will win? A book from 1975 should be interesting. Yeah, I haven't even really looked at the Green Book. I just thought since I had a copy of it and I haven't actually read it, it would be interesting to get into. Was it published in 1975? Terri likes ugly people. That's all. That isn't untrue. I've been known to like an ugly person from time to time. I don't know. I mean, how do I put it? I don't know. An ugly person. That's an interesting way of putting it. I have to really think about that. Like, maybe I am more drawn to that, honestly. I don't know. I think I'm just like, again, it's character. Character is more important to me. Boys do a bit. I don't know. I've never fainted over a male celebrity. You like pretty boys that do the eyebrows? No, I don't. I mean, I don't mind if a guy is groomed nicely, but I'd rather not know about it. The Green Book rejects both capitalism and communism, as well as representative democracy. Instead, it proposes a type of direct democracy. Interesting. Wait, who am I supposed to look like? The movie 300. I don't remember dating any Greek. I've never dated a Greek person as far as I'm aware. If anyone had any Greek ancestry, I wasn't aware of it. So who is this person? Ephialtes. Oh, why is this not typing? Rude. Ephialtes of Trachis. Yeah, he doesn't look like anyone I've dated. He's ugly though. Jeez. Yoda, really? This guy? Let me share this. I've never dated anyone this bad looking. A Spartan. Well, I guess, yeah, Spartans would be pretty tough looking. They were a pretty tough group of people. Yeah, this guy is like, he is not handsome. I'm not feeling him. Like, he looks kind of deformed. I don't know, dude. I've never dated anyone this ugly. Okay, yeah, it's kind of. This is pretty ugly though, Yoda. Dang. Yikes. Hunchback too. He looks huge though. I mean, dang. Does he have multiple arms? What's going on there? Huh. Yeah, never. I don't like ugly people. No, I don't like ugly people. I mean, no, definitely not. No, I never made any claims to like ugly people. That's true. What if he's not handsome? He's super ripped. He's rich. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I mean, there's less important things than, handsomeness, obviously. But I don't know. There's a girl has limits. He has to like at least look, somewhat normal. Oh my goodness. See? Yes, Yoda, I see. I see. I see. He's ripped. He's ripped. He's rich, but man, I couldn't deal with that. I don't know how I deal with people like you. Batman, I really don't. It's rough. It's like, man, it's not easy, but I have a strong character. I've been through life. Yeah, so much masculinity. My goodness. Now I can go to sleep and dream safe and secure, surrounded by all that like tough masculine energy. That dude was ugly, Yoda. Dang. I don't know about that, Batman. I don't think that. I don't know about that. I was at Ephialtes. Yeah, never dated a Greek. I did have a little crush on this Greek guy, but I'm glad nothing happened there. That would have been a bad. He turned out to be mega beta. I thought he was like, I don't know. I see, this is the problem. I often see things in people. I see people's goodness. I can see the good in most people, really anyone. And I tend to look for that in people. But yeah, he turned out to be like way, way, way super beta. And I was like, yikes. It was a good pick, Yoda. I mean, that was really ugly. That was real ugly. That was more than I could handle. You got me. I hope I don't have any nightmares about that guy. Oof. I remember like in chat once somebody like said, "Oh, you probably do." I think there was a Greek guy on the Fallen State, and I was like making fun of Greeks a little bit, and they were like, "Terri, you would do well with a Greek. Greeks love women that look like you." And I was like, "What you talking about?" I was like, "Never really. It just never presented itself." But okay. It was like it said something about like the dark hair and the light skin. Yeah. His name in Greek means nightmare. Oh my. It might have, yeah, it might have been you, Christ Conquers. I wouldn't be surprised. You always be giving me this like weird advice. I'm like, where am I going to meet a Greek anyway? I mean, they're around. I mean, yeah, I did know a Greek guy once that I kind of had a crush on. But yeah. Well, yeah. Your mom used that term, Yoda? Yeah. No, Galahad, no. I will not be taking your advice after what I've heard tonight. Ain't no way. You already creeped me out with you being creepy to Hake. You were creepy to Hake. Ugh. And then after tonight, the things you've revealed about yourself, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Mm-mm. Goodness. Well, I suppose I should wrap up. The cat definitely wants me to, and I should get myself ready for bed, I think. Actually, I should. Don't. Hey, where are you? Where are you? Where you at? Where you at, little one? Yeah, I don't know. That ain't right, Yoda. That's yeah. I was like, does your mom use that word? I'm like, no, you use that word, but they are known for that. Especially the Spartans. The Spartans were very known for that. Bye, Batman. Goodbye, Dijon Pa. Why you're not going into the hallway? You think I'm just gonna open the door and let you into the hallway? Are you mad? Are you nuts right now? Don't you be over there. You come right here. You ain't going in that hallway. Why would I open up the door and let you into the hallway? Hey, look at me. Why would I? Oh, there you is. Yeah, you scratch up that post. Why would I? Hey, you. Why would I let you into the hallway? Why would I just open the door and let you go in the hallway? Would I do that? Is that good? No, that's not good. What's going on out there? What's going on out there? That person on a scooter, they got their little e-scooter rolling up to that. Yeah, wow. He has a good view. He has fun. They all were doing it, Yoda, and that isn't true. It's documented the Spartans have that going on. Read up about it. Read up about it, Yoda. The Spartans had a very intricate practice. It's not feminist lies. Dang. They were all up in it. The Greeks, man. Thank goodness I'm not Greek. And yeah, Christ Conquers is trying to marry me off to a Greek, knowing full well that ain't gonna be right for me, knowing full well what they get up to, it isn't right. I don't know anything about the Huarang. The Huarang. Didn't you mention this yesterday? I'm not interested. Not interested. What even is that? I've read all the Greek classics in Roman. You unread little devil. Well, why don't you read to us then? Christ Conquers. No. Yeah, you have. You have in the chat. You have tried to marry me off. You tried to give me to some like weird guy. You were like, or maybe that was Tomas. No, it was you. It was you. You were like, oh yeah, she's very patient. She would be good with children. And the guy was like, oh well, I've already had kids. And I'm like, don't be just offer, like, it's not the first time all these guys be like in the chat. There was some other guy, I think it was Shabbat or whatever, that was like trying to like offer up my womb for service to somebody. Like, I was like, why don't you check in with me? Or arranged marriages have the least percentage of divorces. Okay, well, again, why does a stranger in a chat room think that they can arrange a marriage for me? Like, they're not my family. Wild. Okay, so it might have been another weirdo. It might have, but I feel like Tomas wouldn't do that to me. I feel like it was you, Christ Conquerors. You were like, check, yeah, she's got her own thing, her own channel, and she's very, I don't remember exactly what you said. You said I was educational, and yeah, you said I'm patient and I would be good with small children because of it. I was like, dang, why not check with me before you start talking to some guy about like trying to offer up my womb? Maybe it wasn't you though, hon. Maybe it wasn't. You're not remembering, but I feel like it's something you would do. You think you would? I don't know. I remembered it for sure. I just don't remember who it was. But it was upsetting. I was like, ooh, don't be offering me up like that. Like you have any right to, for one. Also, like, ooh, that guy. I ended up blocking that guy too because he was creepy. Man, I had to block some more people this week. I keep having to block people. It was a while back, Christ Conquerors. It was a while back. Don't do it, Terry. Don't do what? What am I not to do, Yoda? Don't block people? I gotta block people. They get way too personal with me. They say way too much, like it's too distracting as well. Like, I'm trying to be in the chat and be like, I'm trying to be there for the hosts, you know? I'm trying to be a cheerleader, you know? I'm trying to bring some like spirit, and like some people really are just, I can't interact with. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do that, Yoda. I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't do it at all. I mean, I don't know. I said I wouldn't do it. Is Joe Greek though? He's black and white. I wonder what kind of white he is. Have you ever wondered that about Joe? Like, what kind of white is he? Because I feel like he's like, he got to be something like some kind of weirdo. Like, I don't know. I don't think Greek or something, but I'm like, I don't know. I get the feeling like he could be like German, or I don't know. Like, what kind of white is he? Is Joe? You don't mean he's literally blind? I don't think he's literally blind. See John Paul. Just kind of speculation. It's crazy. Is chat so crazy? Yeah, chat is crazy. Jewish. Y'all think everybody's Jewish. Not everybody's Jewish. Trying to do Lionel Richie? What's a Lionel Richie? Wait. What's a Lionel Richie? Is Lionel Richie zesty? No, I don't remember the video. How old are you, Yoda? You're between the ages of 17 and 60. Is this like a music? I don't really remember any Lionel Richie music. I can't even dredge up in my recollection seeing any Lionel Richie music videos. Say you, say me. I guess I'll need to watch it and then, have a laugh about like Joe giggling. I don't know. I remember commenting on like a clip of Joe calling into the Hake Report, and he was talking about how he got his pastor friend that he used to hang out with all the time when their kids were growing up. He got him to start watching the show, and that they like call each other now and talk about the show. And I was like, that's so weird. Like he and his little friend are like kicking up their heels, and calling each other and giggling about like the Hake Report. I was just like having this funny like little image in my mind of it, like, oh my God. Joe from Phoenix, the guy that calls in with the like, well, actually, blacks are doing better than they ever have before. Like the birth rates out of wedlock are going down, and I don't. He's just like, he always says something. And then, yeah, he was pretty vicious this week. He said he wanted Mark to die. That was like pretty tough. That was pretty rough. Or I was like, dang. Mark was pretty awful this week. Well, it was only like 20 minutes. It was like 20 minutes, that one call, but it felt like forever. It sure felt like 45 minutes. Yeah, that fluoride stare. Yeah, he does get, I love when he gets that like stare, or when he like stares directly into the camera when someone's calling. Yeah, he giggles at a lot of the calls. He giggles when I call too, usually because I'm being funny and entertaining. Yeah, Galahad, that was wild. You and that creepy call. You were being creepy on the call. Yeah. Well, Mark. Mark. This is devolved. Now we're kicking up our heels and giggling about the Hake Report, and I think we probably should stop because it's enough. Okay, y'all. No, dude, you are being creepy. You creeped me out in the chat. I was like, especially like the first couple of days, the comments you were leaving, I was like, ooh. I was creeped out. I was like, ugh. Like I had a bad feeling in my gut. I don't know. I've had Jasmine blocked. She made some like very gross comment to me and I didn't like it. So I've had her blocked for a long time. How am I evil? You were being creepy and you were also making all kinds of like weird judgments and assumptions and making fun of him and I didn't like it. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I don't like when people are nasty to him. You were saying mean things, you were misjudging, you were mischaracterizing. I didn't like it. No, he isn't Galahad. That's a total lie. That is a total misunderstanding of things. Yes, Christ Conquerors. Always a good time. Somewhat problematic. Yeah, you're laughing because like you're going ha ha ha. You're saying things that aren't true. Well, anyway, good night, y'all. Enough. I've had enough. I'm gonna unwind. I hope you all have a good day, night, whatever. See you around. Bye.